Another man done gone. Another man done gone from the county from another.
It's Jax.
man done
What up,
gone.
Dallas? Let's go.
Martin Luther had a dream, but Freddy Krueger had a Ruger. Ex-Malcolm out the picture, so now we back to the future. Now we back to these losers embracing death like they used to. Poking out they chest, but listen, son, now you leaking that future. So who's the shooter? Is it your man? Or was it a fan? Or was it a stand? Pac would beg to differ. In hindsight, I bet you he say he was not a nigga. Plus Biggie Smalls was just minding his business, yo. Smoking an Optimo. Somebody got to drop the homie Biggie has got to go. And they couldn't stop it, no. I wish that they could. Yeah, the world needs change, but man, I wish that we would. So why the long frown? A man harmed from a 4 pound. His blood ripples on the floor from the war sound. His mama sitting at the wake, hoping the Lord's found. Another dead, another gone now. Damn.
Another man done gone. Another man done gone from the county from another man done gone.
George Eliot said that it's best to be what you wanna be. Fucking do what you wanna do, so I do what I wanna do. Bet you did it to floss. Bitch, I did what I wanted. Bet you did it and lost. Bitch, I did it and won it. Shit, I'm never coming back. Listen, I just wanna rap. Gee, I told you all of that. On about a dozen tracks. I don't give a fuck. I just wanna rap. Spitting fire on this track like a fucking thundercat. Plus this mic is bleeding roho. This shit is a no-no. Rolling in that low-low. Plus I'm from that Baltimore. Need a folk, smoking on my logo. Ready for the woe, and we so sleeping with the flow. Somebody got a robo. Heard the lanes and I swear they so too much love for the fame just to go broke. You said think I had the rap game in the chokehold. Never think I got the whole world in a rope. Gotta think of damn dog, you crazy. Is he the next Jay-Z? My crystal ball is hazy, but I don't know, maybe.
Welcome back to the Insanity Check Podcast. This is your host for this weekly show, your weekly dose of insanity, Chris here. And joining me, I have a very, very special guest on. I'm very proud and happy to have her on. It's just very timely to have her on now. I have the lovely Leslie Mack from the Interracial John podcast and everything else going on. I mean, she has a small business you might have heard of. I don't know, little something going on there. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Leslie, how you doing?
I'm so good. So happy to be here. It's been a while, and I was so excited. I feel like we literally scheduled this because both of our schedules are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 months ago,
Yeah.
we were like, hey, March, you got a date for me? I was like, yeah, March, sounds good. And I was like, wait, it's this Saturday, so I'm so happy to be here. Thank you always for having me.
You've become one of those guests that I have to do that with. That I'm like, all right, it's January. Let me see. So are you free at any time at the end of February, maybe March? I could even go into April for you. Just let me know. And you were like, yeah, you know what? I think March 18th might work. I'm like, all right, bet it's on the schedule. I don't care whatever happens that day. We're doing that. Like, that's what we're going to deal with, and that's what we're going to be doing. So yeah. But yeah, thank you for joining me here. Yeah, there's been a lot going on, and we're gonna talk about that. Like, I think the last time I had you on, when was that? Was that October? No, it was after the election. So it had to be November.
After the election. I feel like it was December.
So it might have been December. So that's when we had the Safety Pin Box show. And man, look, can I just tell you that you've become one of the people now to go, yeah, I talked to her before I talked to her about that. Yeah. So it's like one of the first people to interview. Like, I'm seeing you doing all these interviews and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, but I was one of the first to ask about Safety Pin Box, so it's okay. Like, I'm that guy now. Like, I like when you've really blown up, I'm gonna be that guy sitting at home going, yeah, but I knew her though. Yeah. I was the first, guys. Just don't, like, on the wiki page, I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna be that guy that they erase, because I'm gonna be changing the wiki page every other week. Like, the first person to ever interview her was Chris from the Insanity Check podcast.
Insanity Check, that's where we were first.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And we couldn't be more thankful for that, because not everybody was showing us love, but you were, and we really appreciate it.
And that's the thing that really stands out to me is that and we'll get more details about, like, just how far you and Marissa have come with this business. But, you know, when we talked about it, and you were even asked, I think when your first question was like, hey, I really trust your opinion, and we had this idea. We think it was great. Like objectively, do you think it's okay? Like, you guys were still kind of not sure, like, how it was going to be received. And even then, after that first week, or first month, all the hate you all got for that, and let's be honest, still get, was just ridiculous. And so I honestly, I can't, this is just not me just standing, not me just being a friend, but I'm honestly super proud to witness what you and Marissa have done with this, because it's been inspirational. Like, honestly, I think that's what you all doing Safety Pin Box is kind of one of the things that made me change to Black Women Shoutout. So now I'm shouting out Black women businesses. Like, I maybe eventually I get to that evolution, but I don't do that without seeing what you and Marissa went through with Safety Pin Box, and like, it's incredible. Like, it's just no BS. Like, it's been incredible to watch you guys thrive with this.
It's been interesting for sure. I'd say Marissa and I were talking recently about, like, we feel like this is almost our second wave of press. So we're out of launch press, and now we're into, like, people more talking about what's happened and what we're doing and things like that. So it's been interesting having this secondary round of press interviews and things like that, where people are just more interested in, like, the business side of things and, how are we going about things and how things are going, versus having to prove, the original round was much more about, like, who do you think you are to be able to do this? And how dare you try to tell white people what to do, even though that's literally my entire, like, countenance in the world.
I mean, we have Trump right now, so I think at this point, as to who are you to tell white everybody else? We're the smart people, because God damn it, you guys don't know what the fuck you're doing. I'm sorry, but it's real.
Yeah, y'all are a mess, and so you should be listening to people other than you pretty much all the time.
You need to be told about yourself. You need to. I'm sorry. You just need to.
So it's been interesting, and I think for us it's been a bit of a, obviously we jumped into this business world without really thinking we were starting a business. We thought we were just doing, like, this quick project, and who knows what was going to happen to it. And obviously the success has lent itself to us both pretty much dropping all of our other work and doing this full time. I mean, I'm still doing my general organizing and speaking gigs and things like that, but I, have stepped away from any of my previous work that was time consuming on a day-to-day basis, and working full time for Safety Pin Box, and Marissa has done the same. So it's been a big change in the first 3 months of the year, for sure, for the two of us. And it's been really fun and exhilarating and exciting. And it's been great to see the growth that we've been able to cultivate and continue to. And, we have larger plans for all of the work that we're trying to do. And so it's been a whirlwind. Every day things kind of change. Drew keeps saying, like, his head keeps spinning each day, like, new opportunities present themselves and things like that. And that's been really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, watching you all is an inspiration for everything. Like, just how you guys have gone. Because again, like, this is one of the quickest turnarounds and we talked about this when you were last on. You guys talked about how you guys went on vacation. I think you guys were in Jamaica, right?
Yeah, we were. We were in Jamaica.
Yeah.
On vacation.
Yeah. So you guys talked about it then, and then, like, literally 2 weeks later, you guys started launching this project, and that was December. And so
it was December, and it was so, it was very arbitrary. But I tend to do that in my organizing generally. People that work with me will tell you I'm always the one to be like, nope, let's launch. Because I just feel like so often, the barrier to good work is people waiting till things are perfect. Mm-hmm. And I just find it to not be very serving to the work. And so I'm always one to be like, nah, if we have people interested and we want to do it, let's just launch. We'll figure it out as we go along, because it doesn't hurt. It's rare to hear somebody say, oh, we should have launched later. It's always the opposite. People always say, oh man, I wish we had launched when we wanted to, or I wish we had done this, 2 years ago. So I'm always never wanting to be in that predicament of saying, like, man, I should have pushed a little harder. And so, I think with Marissa and I, one of the great things about our partnership too is, like, we are an intergenerational, partnership. Marissa's 24, I'm 41. And it's been really amazing to work with with our work together because we have such different perspectives, both on our work prior to this and in the world, generally speaking. Mm-hmm. And we complement each other really well because of those perspectives. We don't ideologically disagree with each other almost ever, but our approaches are very different. And as much as my mother likes to say we look like twins, which she says all the time, we are very different. And so it's been fun kind of doing all of that work together. It's been really great. And and so when we launched in Jamaica, it was more of a, well, let's just get it out there. If people are interested, then we'll spend more time on it. But I think it's important to just get it out there. People have money, people have energy, people want to do something. Let's see what happens if we legit, they say, what can we do? And we say, here, do this. And we'll see what happens. See how these white folks really are going to step up or not step up and do something. So I think for us, it was more of a litmus test, like, yeah, let's put it up there. We'll see what happens. We had no idea the response that was going to happen, both negatively and also in our subscribers. We quickly got to 500 subscribers before the end of the year. We are hoping to end this month at 1,000 subscribers. So it's been a quick growth, but not without work on our part and also not without some understanding of, being able to deliver on the people that have subscribed so that they can become acolytes for us and continue to speak the safety pin box, gospel out in these streets. And of course, the most important piece for us has been the Black Women Being program. And
I was able to ask you about that. Yeah.
So it's been wonderful. We've been expanding each month and we have given away thus far. Our first round was in January and we are just about at $25,000 of direct funds given directly to Black women. And it's been really amazing to do that. Because that's really what our business is shaped around. The core principle of safety pin box is that Black women don't have to prove shit to us. And so, the rest of the stuff, the content we create, all the stuff we give and training that we provide for white folks, that's just a means, right, for us to get this money to give to Black women. I think people have a weird understanding of safety pin box, or at least of Marissa and I, that we want to educate white people. I actually don't give a shit if people do our tasks or if they actually follow through with the things that we give them to do. I mean, I care on a fundamental level because the content is fucking amazing, and I can't say that enough. Marissa is a genius when it comes to really being able to parse down these really high-level concepts into digestible formats that people that don't have a good handle on what race is can understand. It's a rare skill. I don't see anybody else creating content the way that we are for the purpose that we create it for. But at the same time, I really don't care. Our obligation is to create good content, not to follow behind white people and make sure that they do it, right?
I mean, you're giving them.
From our perspective, it's kind of like, yeah, you said you wanted this thing. We're charging a fair price for it. And we're able to move resources and funds from white people to Black women. It's fantastic, and everything's working really well. And so for us, just really leaning in to grow it as much as we can. We have some more thresholds that we want to hit. That will allow us to do even more work with the money that comes in. We want to start some micro lending. We want to start some project allocation for people. So the more subscribers we have, the more work that we're able to do. And so we're just really excited to continue building and doing that work.
One of the things. Oh, we're getting feedback. Sorry about that. Hold on 1 second.
I think that might be mine. Hold on.
All right. Are we there? Yeah. I think it's gone now. Yeah, I think it's gone now. But one of the things that stood out to me was, I was going to ask you about, being able to give that money to Black women, and I knew it's funny you said, I don't really care if these white people do the task, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, you're adults, you're paying for this. If you don't do the task, I mean, that's on you. But the end goal here is being able to give money to Black women and in their business and support them, because like I said, it's one of the things we talked about this on the show several times about just how it's hard for any marginalized group to really get the funding they need to do the projects they want to do, and that holds us down. Like, people was like, whoa, just build your own. It's like, yeah, building your own requires money. It requires financing. It requires the opportunities and the privilege to be able to do that. There's a lot of people that say build your own. You go and you parse out how they built their own. And you're like, well, you didn't build your own. You had people there to support you, and financially a lot of times, to be able to build your own in quotes, right? And so, go ahead.
I become obsessed with Shark Tank. since we started the business. The TV show. I don't know if you watch it or not, Chris, but.
No, but I've heard about it. Yeah, I know exactly what they do. That.
Yeah, so, these entrepreneurs come and they make this pitch to these sharks and they get investments and things like this. But, they have to give kind of like a snapshot of their business and talk about the financials of it and things like that. And it's always amazing to me. We see these people walk into the room with way less sales than we have at Safety Pin Box, with having dumped in way more capital than we have, because they'll say shit like, oh, my dad put in $100,000. Or we did a friends and family round and we raised $75,000, or, all of this stuff. And it always hits me to think about the privilege of that. Mm-hmm. Marissa and I didn't have those resources to tap into when we launched Safety Pin Box. We really did things bootstrapped, and we're lucky that, I'm a graphic designer, she's a content creator, and we could actually create the product we wanted to do ourselves, right? We could figure it out, put it together. I designed the boxes. I designed all of the content for the layout and things like that for everything, and the messaging and all, our logos, everything. And Marissa writes all of the content, like every word you read on our website, she wrote it. Every, all of that stuff. But not everybody has those skill sets to bring to a project like this. So you could have a great idea, but you don't have the capital to have the resources that you need to actually execute it. And, I brought a lot of privilege into the space. Drew makes a good living wage, and we were able to spend money on a lawyer to incorporate and become an LLC and things like that before we had revenue. And not, the average Black person doesn't have those resources, even that alone. It was privilege in the space. And so, yeah, I think for us, it's interesting to see most of the women we've given money to, 50% of them have been like, great, this is going to help me with my project or my, committee or my what. They're already spending the money on people other than themselves immediately. And the other half are like, wow, I didn't know how I was going to pay my rent next month. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. And all of them across the board have been like, I almost didn't submit because I didn't think I was worthy. Meanwhile, they're running 3 organizations. They're in law school. They got kids. They're doing all of the things. And still, they have this moment of am I worthy of one of these awards? I don't know. Right. And a lot of that, we were surprised by that. And also we recognize it in ourselves, where as Black women, we tend to be really harsh on ourselves and not value the work that we bring because other people don't value it. So we're trying to flip the script and push this notion of, making sure that people have funding. This past week was, we had the Protect Trans Women Day of Action last week. And it's interesting. We've been working and pushing for the Marsha P. Johnson Institute all week. But when you look at the statistics of things, the resources, as you mentioned, and I'll just take trans activists because I think that's really important to talk about right now. But, in foundational giving, for every $100 that's given out from foundations, only 1 penny is given to trans-led organizations. Out of $100, 1 penny. 1 penny is given. And it goes down from there. So that's trans-led. If it's a trans woman of color-led, it goes down even further from there, less than a penny. So I just think when we have these constructs, white supremacy has seeped into all of these channels of giving, of all of this stuff. And it's why we didn't want to be a 501c3 not-for-profit organization as Safety. We're like, no, fuck that. We're a business. We can do whatever we want with our money. And this is how we're choosing to ensure that we're passing on the success that we have to other people. But it's about creating a different paradigm and not relying on these systems that inherently are set up to exclude us consistently, and how we go about doing that.
It's incredible. Like you said something there about, women that hit you up saying they almost didn't apply. And I think that's just something across, again, obviously with Black women, it's you guys take the brunt of it, and Black trans women even more. But it's something that I think is kind of beat into anybody who's not white in this country, is that you have to work harder, and that there's an extra hurdle that you have to do. And a lot of us have internalized that. We don't ask for the raise. We see something going on and we're like, well, maybe it's just in my head. I find myself doing that shit all the time. I had a moment last week at work where I was just like, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe it's just me. And it had to take me a moment to go, no, wait, no, I'm not tripping. I'm getting treated differently than everybody else is getting treated, and I had to basically give myself a pep talk, to have that. And if it wasn't for having the outlets of of the MTR network and everything else, I don't think I give myself that pep talk, because I think in the past I haven't given myself that pep talk of saying that, hey, no, I do deserve this. I do deserve better. You know, sometimes we internalize it so much we don't even know it's happening. And it's, you know, it's incredible. Like when I started putting out the whole Black woman shout out thing and saying, hey, you know, if you're a Black woman, you want promotion, send me your emails. And I thought I was literally going to get, you know, an email once every blue moon and we'll do it then and it'll be fine. I get so many now that I think today I'm a list 4. Because we've gotten so many, I need to catch up. And I feel so bad that I can't just go out there and list them all out there. It's just, and I realize it's like how starved we are for getting that kind of stuff. Like it's important because nobody offers that. And it's just, it's both, it makes me feel good that I can help, but at the same time, it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks that we're still here in 2017 having to fight this same battle that, you know, my parents fought and their parents fought and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, it really kind of grounds you and kind of hits you a little bit on this, damn, like there's still so much to do, you know? And like I said, I'll never forget, you know, the guy in the White House when he was talking about, you know, he just got a small loan from his dad for $1 million, and I'm like, and the thing that got me about it wasn't even that he said it, right? Like that's fine. It was the reaction to everyone else, basically white. That was just like in the media. It was like, well, yeah, he just got a small loan from his dad, and I'm like, and I think the collective feeling of everyone who's marginalized goes, $1 million isn't a small loan. like I took out a small loan to finish my last year in college. That was $4,000, and I had to get my grandmother to co-sign that. All right, you know, that was my.
To the average American, not just the average Black American, but to the average American, a small loan is $500 or less. You know, 25% of people that are sitting in county and city jails right now are in there not because they've been convicted of anything, but because they couldn't afford bail of $500.
Right.
They've just been arrested, right? They haven't even been convicted. So this understanding of like what a small loan would look like is really interesting, and it's so about perspective.
Right.
And we see this, I mean, even with this bullshit like tax whatever that he released this week, or what that got released this week, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Useless ass shit if you ask me, but whatever.
Right.
But putting it in perspective, and I feel like that's something that's been lost a lot in a lot of the coverage of Tupe Fiasco and his administration is I feel like the media really has done a terrible job of putting the things that are happening and the things that have been said in correct context. Mm-hmm. They haven't been providing a good container for people really comparing this to reality. They've been just presenting it as reality.
Yeah.
And it's very, very strange to me. And I think it's made it really difficult for organizers to work as effectively as they should be able to work because of that fact. Because they say these outlandish things and nobody even says like, oh, wait, if we compare it to this thing, you'll understand better why this is so fucked up. Mm-hmm. You know, journalism. That thing.
Those old topics there. So, all right, well, I'm gonna get back into talking some more about some safety pin box stuff in a minute. Let me run through my sponsors real quick and some general housekeeping for the show, and we'll get right back into some safety pin box stuff. So, again, this show, like all the shows, are being sponsored by Susan Berry of the Pool Law Firm, which is located in Silver Spring, Maryland. Susan Berry and Troy Poole are excellent attorneys in the Maryland, D.C. area. They are from the D.C. and Maryland area, and they're also black. So if you need a black business support, and you need black lawyers to support, the Poole Law Firm handles criminal law, family law, and personal injury. So if you need an attorney, you want to know more, head over to their wonderful website. It's www.thepoollawfirm.com. That's Poole with an E, Poole, lawfirm.com. Number 301-585-3014. You can also check out our other sponsor, tweakedaudio.com. You need earbuds, headphones. I know they have Bluetooth earbuds now. You get free shipping, free lifetime warranty off of these earbuds and headphones. I'll put the code in reviews on the website, when you do the checkout on tweakedaudio.com. You get 33% off, free shipping, and free lifetime warranty off of those. And again, you know, MTR Network, we have a lot of things we're coming in. I'm really hoping to get some of the look and feel for the site changed by April. I'm stretching it because it might not be April, maybe by the end of April because I'm kind of running behind right now. But we do have a lot of great things going on the premium network. So far this month, everything we released for premium has been something that's not been recorded or hosted by me, and I am so happy about that. We have the Doctor. She's actually doing a Doctor Who retrospective, and I think they're doing an episode this week or in a couple weeks, another episode 2 soon. I know Koki and P Funk have their science podcast, molecules and shit, and I actually have a third episode to put up. They might be recording another one today. I'm not sure. I'll definitely get that one up. The ladies are doing docu-drunks, and I think they might be recording another episode today. I know the one we put out either this week or last week was T-Rex on Clarissa Shields, who won the gold medal in boxing at the last Olympics. So that's out there. They're doing a really great job with those. And there's a Star Wars Rebel one that's coming out soon as well. And going into the stuff that I'm actually recording now. It's going to sound really shocking right now. John and we actually recorded a Hell No Cupid on Friday. It actually got recorded. I have the audio. It's coming out, guys. It is happening. You don't have to worry about it. We are definitely doing that. It is there. I was actually just editing it before I got on with Leslie today. That will be out this weekend or on Monday. You'll get a new Hell No Cupid from me, and then we're going to try to do another one in 2 weeks. We had so much to talk about. We actually didn't get to any of the topics I had. So it was a great show. It was about an hour. That's coming out. We're also doing X2, X-Men 2 today. And I think we're going to do a comic book club tomorrow. I'm still waiting to hear back from everybody to make sure we're doing that. But we have those coming out, and there's a lot of other stuff coming out on the Premium Network. So, again, go to MTR Premium, MTRnetwork.net. Go to MTR Premium, sign up, $8 a month. I know the first goal, we're not going to hit 200, so you're not going to get me singing. But I'm promising that I knew we weren't going to hit that number. I'll be honest. I was very, I know how our growth is going. My goal, though, is 250 by the end of the year. So if we get 250 by the end of the year, I'll look into, I don't know if I'll do the song, but maybe I'll do the song I promised when we hit 200. So,
and let's just be real clear. Y'all listening, what the F are y'all waiting for? I'm just wanting to understand. Yeah, this show's is amazing. And the premium content is really outstanding. So what you waiting for? Just get it together.
And just like with Safety Pin Box, the money I'm getting from this is not just me sitting around the money and jumping out and doing Scrooge McDuck into money vaults. I'm not doing that. It really, honestly, and I've been grateful for this. I don't really talk too much about the journey of the MTR network, and actually from the InsaneReport.com to movie trailer reviews to MTRnetwork.net. I don't talk about that journey that much, but when I started this stuff, and we started doing this, I never thought that I'd be able to pay. I used to pay up until we started premium. Everything I used to pay for the site came out of pocket. So when we went to conventions, when I bought equipment, when we did any of that stuff, it all got paid out of my own pocket, and that's fine. Since we started premium, I've been able to do everything we've done for the site has been able to be funded by that. So everything that we get from premium helps that. It allows me, and it's not just me. It's not just my equipment. I was able to buy mixers for all of our new shows, so I'm going to get those out there. Matter of fact, I forgot. We have a new show coming out soon. I think we mentioned it last week. Secret Sauce is actually going to be an extension of the Black Woman Shoutout, where LaToya is going to be talking to some of the women that have submitted to the Black Woman Shoutout, and that's going to be a show. So I'm sending her one of the mixers we got coming out there. And I'm really excited about that. She has she's going to have an author who wrote a book that she reviewed that submitted to us, and I was like, that would be a perfect first guest on the show. So they're looking to record that end of this month, maybe beginning middle of April. So all this stuff, all the equipment, not just for my studio, but for everybody else who's actually helping out the network. And then I try to pay for that stuff. I'm hoping that Shanna and Phenom get renewed to go to San Diego Comic-Con with us. If that happens, I get to pay more of their way to go for this. Our equipment, everything we got going on there, that's what that pays. And it literally allows us to be a network. I think we saw that Chris Hardwick and them at Nerdist, he's starting a production company and things like that. That's where that funds go to. Our funds go to trying to build an actual network and build something that we can actually do to give voices to black voices, honestly. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this was not on purpose. This was not like me just trying to be one of those fake male feminists that are just trying to, get more women. I didn't realize this until I started looking at the numbers. Like, we have so many black women that do things for this network. Like, it literally just hit me. I think it was International Women's Day or something like that. Like, it was March 8th, I think. And it hit me how much content black women have given me on this site. Like, I wouldn't some of our new shows are all except for I think the Star Wars Rebel one, all of them involve black women. Like, they have literally helped me carry MTR network. And yeah, I mean, so that's where this is going for. So if you want to support, a black business, but a black business that really does have a lot of black women in it and is helping, hey, $8 a month goes a long way, and right now because of all these new shows, I know I can definitely I know at one point we had dropped down to 6 episodes, doing about 6 episodes a month. I can get back to doing at least 8, and we might be able to go over that because I'm getting so much content now that I just need to get it out. So $8 a month, I'm the more people we get, the less likely I am to have to raise that price because, hey, I'll be able to do everything I need to do. So sign up, $8 a month. If you have any problems, I know some people have had problems with their accounts and things like that because there is a limit to how many you can download a month. And I think iTunes can be kind of weird. It tries to download everything. So just email me if you have any problems setting your account up. If you signed up and you can't get access. I'm usually pretty quick on this. Like, there have been weird times when I've got, I think I answered somebody's email at one time at 4:00 in the morning because I'm a weirdo like that. So, but yeah, just like I said, that's the way to help us. I mean, there's obviously our Amazon site that you can just send donations and things like that. And I think what we're going to start doing when we go to conventions, things like that, if people can't do the monthly thing, we're going to start having little donation campaigns so you can donate towards our San Diego Comic-Con fund or New York Comic-Con fund and things like that to help, pay for expenses when we're out there. And no, we're not going crazy when we're out there. We're not throwing stripper parties or anything like that. Although if we were, it would be fun. But I'm just saying, no, but huh?
I'm here for stripper parties.
Hey, listen. Hey, look. Nerds can have fun too. So I'm just saying, it'd be fun. So, but yeah, definitely check that stuff out and help us out. And it goes for, and like I said, I'm eternally grateful to everybody that's helped out the site so far. And if you're a subscriber, it means a lot to me. It you were just saying, Leslie, about when you're running a business and when you're getting a business like we're doing, you're providing subscriptions and you have to get content out monthly, and you have people paying you monthly stuff. There's a sense of obligation to making sure the content you're getting out there is worth it. Yep. It's just, and it's hard. It's I'm not gonna lie. Last night, just a story. Last night, I was not feeling well. I took some NyQuil, passed out. Woke up this morning to 11 text messages from our girlfriend. Turned out everything's fine, but I woke up in a panic because I was like, damn it. I just had my phone on vibrate, took the NyQuil, knocked out. But I had been so tired on that Friday. It was a Friday, and I was like, oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna have a night off. I don't have to do anything. I did a show earlier today, and I'm done with work. I'm gonna take this NyQuil, and I'm just gonna get some sleep. It was the first night I've gotten 10 hours of sleep, I would say, in a long time. And it didn't hit me until I woke up, and I felt bad after I woke up and I missed all these text messages. But I was like, oh my goodness, I'm working so hard. It's so much work, everything we're doing here. But when I see people listening to the shows and really excited about the new shows we have coming out, it's worth it. It's a sense of responsibility, but the payoff, especially when you're doing something you like doing and you're good at, oh man, it feels good. It
does feel good. It's really nice. Yeah.
So, all right. So let's get back into the safety pin box stuff. So, like I said, you got kind of big shots now. I'm looking at this article that was written about you all in New York Magazine.
Yes. Interestingly, one of the first articles that was written about safety pin box was also in New York Magazine and was not very favorable.
I remember that.
So it's been interesting. When they reached out for this interview, Marissa and I were like, really? I want to come back now.
Right.
Interesting.
And I remember that arc. Like I said, it's been an amazing turnaround because I got hate like on the side just from like kind of knowing you guys, because like when I did we did that Sanity Check episode, I named it Safety Pin Box, and it went on YouTube, and I was getting all of these just hateful YouTube messages, and I'm just like, this is an eighth of what you guys are actually getting. Like this is absurd, and to see you guys go from that. And again, I can't remember the original New York. I don't know exactly what they were saying, but it wasn't good. I remember it not being good and just going, "Are you fucking serious?"
The title of it was "Guilty White Liberals Are Purchasing Racial Indulgences."
And
the
now,
title of this week's article was "These Women Started a Company to Teach White People How to Be Less Racist." That was January 3rd. The first one was written.
This is March 17th.
So, yeah, you know. It's funny. One of the things that Marissa and I both did say, though, to ourselves, amongst ourselves in our meetings, was like, let people talk, whatever. It certainly allowed us, lamentably, to get a really wide reach in terms of, brand knowledge and people knowing that we even existed, even though so much of the coverage was false. But it definitely made a much wider, platform for us to speak through. And, I said to her, we're just going to keep grinding, and we're going to keep servicing, our subscribers and keep building so that we can give more money away. And, when these checks start rolling out, there's not going to be a lot of conversation to be had, right? Once we start giving away thousands of dollars directly to Black women, and, we have 500, 600, 700, 850 now subscribers, it'll be obvious, our work will speak for itself. And that's definitely proven. Not that any of these douchebags have gone back and like said, hey, we were wrong to unfairly judge these folks 3 weeks into their project, whatever. But it's been nice to see the coverage kind of shift and be on message versus us continually having to like fight against the press that's been out there. So
and I'm glad you mentioned the whole thing about people coming back and saying they were wrong. I think that's one of the things. And one of the things, again, I've always known this, but what was interesting to me was also seeing the hatred and anti-blackness coming from people that weren't white, and it was just like, you're doing the enemy work for you. Like the people that don't like you, you're doing their work for you because you're so anti-black that you have to do. And like you said, none of them can admit they were wrong. None of them will say anything. None of them will say, you know what, I'm sorry. None of them will go back and say, yeah, it's just full steam ahead. I'm right, you're wrong. And then when they're proven wrong, they just disappear like it didn't happen, and they pretend like it didn't. It's just, and then, hey, look, and not saying that you all will, but if there's ever a perception that you or Marissa slip up again, then all of a sudden they'll pop back up, right? They'll
pop up with a quickness. And it's interesting too, because, you mentioned non-Black people of color, which we definitely got a lot. And I feel like supremacy uses them as cover often to deliver these horrible things. And a lot of them also are Bernie bros, which, that brings a whole other layer of anti-Blackness and specific hatred about Marissa and attacks on Marissa, which, I take very personally because it's hard not to, because they are very personal. Lee Fang, who was one of the most vocal, detractors calling our business a scam. Interestingly enough, he did receive a cease and desist letter from our black woman lawyer. Because one of the things that we realized that once we became a business, we had way more protection than we ever had as just regular ass Black women out in these streets.
Which is sad, but also good in the same respect.
It's really been, it's like a whole new world of like accountability. Like you can't just talk shit about our business with no consequences no more. You could, and prior to this, people could have said anything they wanted about all of our work, about anything we did. But once we became an actual business entity, it completely changed people's ability to say shit about us without any proof or, information or details, right? But they won't ever go back and say anything. And the thing that I actually don't even want people to go back and admit that they were wrong about us per se. I don't need that, gratification, because I knew they were wrong in the instance. But what would be nice to hear is them to admit why they were so quick to attack us, to really get at the root of like, Us centering Black women, you had a problem with that. Us being Black women, you had a problem with that. Us making money off of our talents, you had a problem with that. Why? Yeah. That's the shit I wish people would actually go back and revisit. Like get their entire lives together. Why you picked up your pen or your keyboard or your video camera and thought, oh, with all this shit going on, let me attack these 2 Black women starting a new business.
You literally got white supremacists in the fucking White House. Like, we've had white. Let's be honest here. We've had white supremacists in the White House before, but we have ones that are literally like, oh no, that's what I do, and I'm okay with that. Like, we got those again. Like, we're back to that time now, and your fight was with 2 Black women who started the business that you didn't have to opt into. Like, it's one of those things that I think that, and like I said, I've said this before, that I'm so grateful for the Black women because, excuse me, I think it's Black women that have really helped not just shape the current content of the MTR network, but just my whole my outlook on life and how I view things and my own privilege as a Black man and things like that. But it's just like, once I started opening my eyes and seeing that kind of stuff, it's so glaring how much anti-Blackness, particularly anti-Black womenness, is projected at you all just for being Black women. I mean, it's over the top, and it's just like, it feels, for me as a Black man looking in on what you all have to go through, it's too much for me sometimes. Like, I gotta take a break. I'm like, what are y'all doing on Twitter today? Oh, you guys do? Oh no, I'm not. I'm out. I'm walking away. But that's just like, that's a privilege I have. Like, when white people decide that, oh, I can't talk about racism today because it's just too much. This is something you all live with. Like, you were literally bombarded with this every day, every second, every time you wake up. There's something going on. I mean, and it's like, for the dumbest shit. Like, you are 2 Black women who started a business to teach. And granted, the money goes to Black women, but the business idea is simply, hey, we're going to teach white people how not to be racist. And I'm like, but white people do this shit all the time. Like, you pay Tim Wise and a bunch of other people to go and give speeches about white privilege. So you don't have a problem with that, but then 2 Black women basically say, hey, you know what? We're Black women, and we think we probably know a little bit more about what white people can actually do to help, our community, because we're from that community, and you have a problem with it. Beyonce got shit for just putting out pictures of birth announcement pictures. It's just like, wait, like, you all literally get shit for breathing. Like, and it's just one of those things that once you become aware of it, it's one of those things you can't unsee anymore. And it becomes, infuriating and that other people don't see it. Like,
Drew said the thing that surprised him most was like seeing it come from the left and the right and Black men and non-Black people of color. Like, there was no demographic besides Black women that didn't think that it was open season on Marissa and I and Safety Pin Box. It was interesting and disturbing to watch unfold, and also we knew it was going to happen. Like, right. We knew this was for sure going to get hate from all over the place because it is new, it's different, it's whatever. And again, centering Black women, that is a problem for so many people and so many demographics. It's always problematic. And you'd be surprised how many people write us like, well, why are you only focusing on Black women?
Oh, white women need help too. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. All right. Yeah, you guys are struggling so much with all of that. Okay, sure. All right. Yeah,
it's exhausting.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, the one that still stands out to me is that day where I went off on the one Black guy who all of a sudden wanted to act like he didn't know that Lee Fang had attacked you, and I literally lost. Like, I tried to jump into other people's battles, but when I witnessed that, and I literally watched this guy, and I had to call him again. Hey, I think this guy was a vet, and I was like, you're a coward. You might be a vet, but you're a coward because you literally are watching this guy, who considers himself a journalist, attacked 2 Black women in their business, and you're saying, "Well, I think he's a good journalist," and I didn't see him say anything, and I'm like, it's on his timeline. You can literally look if you wanted to, but you don't want to. You're literally doing that thing where you see someone being attacked outside of your house and you close the blinds.
Literally.
And
not outside their house, because I want to be clear. Like, the reason why I reached out to that person, because I knew they were connected to Lee Fang and connected to me. Like, I've shared their posts. They've DM'd me to ask me to share stuff that they've written, and I have happily obliged those things. So it wasn't a stranger, right? My whole point in reaching out was like, look, if we're cool and this is the shit that you're supporting, like, why is that? There's a disconnect here for me, because you have asked me to share things. I've been gracious and been like, hey, no problem. I'll share them. Let me make sure people get to see this, la, 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 because we are in community with each other. So when I reach out to you, it's not like, oh, I need somebody to come find my battles. It's like, hey, are we in community or are we not? Because this dude is doing fuck shit. I see you sharing his shit all the time, and it's a problem for me. It's very simple.
Yeah. And the response of a lot of the, and it's, again, I'm not trying to get into a whole Bernie Sanders thing here, because everybody knows I have my problems with him, but, and I'll say what I've always said. There seems to be a certain type of black person who is still a Bernie bro. There were many that were like, hey, look, if you voted for Bernie, that's fine. There were many that voted for Bernie and then turned around and voted for Hillary, or maybe they didn't vote for Hillary, but it's still like, no, Bernie was on some bullshit. He should have done better. And they just went on with their life. But there's still this group that still exists. And when I call you a Bernie bro, I have my problems with Bernie, but I could probably work with Bernie. I can't work with Bernie bros though, because you're worse than him. Like, he seems like an into a mean type person. He's like, I can work with him like I can work with Hillary Clinton. I got my problems with Hillary Clinton, but I can work with her too, right? But you can't even see he has flaws. And you're literally willing to side with white supremacy just to say, well, bro, well, it's Bernie. I support him. It's the same blind loyalty they claim that people had for Hillary Clinton, right? And it's just, you're doing the same thing for the same white guy who's just as mediocre as you claim she is. Like, what are we doing here? And it's incredible to me to see the black people who do that. And then I'm not as shocked by the non-white people of color who kind of turn on you, because we've kind of seen that. I mean, we saw that with April and Oscar So White, right? How the same people that are all on some, we need community and people to be behind us on the Asian American Iron Fist campaign, and then turn around and be like, wait, Oscar So White, what are you guys talking about? I don't understand. Why are you making it about black people? I'm like, wait, come on, stop, people. Like, come on. But like the black people, I'm like, come on, dog. Come on, man. Like, at some point, somebody got to flash a light at you or something, like, so you snap out of the sunken place to come the fuck out. Cause it's just like, are you serious, man? Like, I'm serious, man. Like, come on. It just really gets to me the way some of these people, like, just were so blinded by it. And it was just, it was so hateful. And that's the thing that got me. It was like, hey, look, at the end of the day, if you don't believe in safety pin box, don't buy it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's it, right? Like, if you don't believe in it, don't buy it. What's the need for a campaign? Like, why are you so angry that two black women are making too much? And like, the only thing I come down to is they're two black women. Cause like, come on, like, it's just it is so just sad. And with all the talk about what we need to do, move forward and come together, I'm like, you guys got to work on that. Cause ain't no coming together if you just can't deal with black women being. Like, and that's really what it comes down to. Black women just being. You take from them as much as you want. You'll use them, but if they do it on their own, all of a sudden it's a fucking problem. And yeah, that's just, whew, yeah.
It was amazing to see, like, because really, when Marissa and I started, like, actually getting into, like, nah, we're going to really do this. It's going to be a business. People are interested in it. We started talking about how we literally were doing all the things everybody says, like, get paid to do something you love. Find something people need and find a way to deliver it to them. Like, all those cliche bullshit things everybody says to do to make a business, be an entrepreneur, build your, like, all those cliche things you hear. It's like, yeah, we're going to do it. And it was like, nah, fuck y'all. Like, literally a collective fuck y'all. And I don't mean to say that it obviously wasn't everybody. We have our great supporters and Black women in particular have been amazing. You've been amazing. Rod and Karen have been amazing. So many podcasts have given us so much love. And it's been it's what's allowed us to sustain ourselves in the work. But at the same time, it was literally just like, oh, so y'all met everybody but black women. Right. Okay, got it, cool. I understand now what you mean. All that shit didn't pertain to us. Well, we just supposed to shut up and work for y'all for free till the end of time. Meanwhile, we go back in our history and see Harriet Tubman, Ida B. Wells, all of these amazing black women that built this country, and especially in the context of social justice and racial justice in this country, died penniless, never had support after they left the work, continually are erased from the work that they actually did. You know, I'm not here for that for myself. I'm not here for that for Marissa. I'm not here for that for any black women. We trying to do shit differently this time because we already learned from our past. I don't need to revisit and redo the work that my ancestors did to get us here. We're trying to pick up the baton and take it somewhere else. And, you know, there's going to be fights in that process, but that's not going to stop the work from happening.
Man,
so.
It's one of those things where I think, white people still see themselves as the savior. Like, and it's one of those things like, this is not on the topic of list of topics to do, but, you know, look, Van Jones has been having some problems. All right. Like, I feel like Van Jones needs a vacation because this man has been spending too much time on CNN around these racist white people that now he's starting to make excuses for racist white people. And he's always had some issues, but like, it's really beginning to be a problem. And, we, you know, the black community's kind of been looking at Van Jones kind of sideways for a while now, right? But then that chick, that white woman, what was it, like, Ariana Belmore or something like that, called him a house nigger this week. And we were just like, all right, hold up. All right, listen, we might have a problem with Van Jones.
Yeah, you need to keep your fucking mouth shut.
Right, like, but that's...
I don't care if you birth Drake's children. Right. It really has no relevance in this conversation.
Right. But that's what it feels. It feels like one of those things where it's like white people think that no matter what, like, well, we can be the savior. No matter, we don't have to. We'll erase everything black people did. Like, I really feel like if a white woman had done, and we had mentioned this before, and I think there were a couple of people that actually had something similar to safety pin box, and they were white women, and no hatred.
Of course not.
No hatred.
Like, oh, you're doing such great, amazing work.
Right.
There are plenty of white women right now teaching workshops on diversity and inclusion and white privilege and white supremacy. You know, Everyday Feministing, I think is the name of it. They have a whole series that they do, mostly taught by white women under the cloak and cover of a single non-black woman of color that runs the site, which, you know, whatever, do y'all. I'm not here to throw shade at people, but it is interesting, right, to see the responses depending on who's delivering the content. And it just goes to show, you know, I've heard this so many times where people will say, they'll say they're bringing in some white person to talk about racism to a mostly white audience. And I'll say, so who's the black person you have coming to talk? Are they in partnership with any local black folks? Like really pushing this notion of like, stop just listening to yourselves all the time. Mm-hmm. And the response I frequently get is like, well, you know, the white people really hear these things better coming from white people.
Because it's like, yeah, because it doesn't require you to do any work. When you hear
First of all, that's not true. Because if just listening to y'all worked, we wouldn't have Toupe Fiasco in the White House right now. Let's be really clear about the fact that what you claim works. We have direct information and statistics and facts in the world that prove that that's not true at all.
Oh, but see, here's the thing. So you're misunderstanding what they consider works. What they mean by works is it works for them and their feelings. Because when a white person hears another white person talking about diversity and inclusion and all this other and being a better white person, the white person in the audience sees themselves as that white person speaking. They never see themselves as the white person that white person is talking about. They always see themselves as the hero. So if it's a black person saying that shit to them, they feel like they're actually being lectured. When a white person says it, though, they feel like, oh, no, we're just here to show support and to agree and say, yeah, and shake our head and pat ourselves on the back. And that's what it's about. It's like they're so clueless. And you know what? And I get that because here, I'm a man, right? So if I have women come to me and tell me about things I need to do to be a better supporter of women, I'll be like, oh man, I'm just getting lectured and being talked down to, and all of a sudden, you know, that's just what it is, and it makes me uncomfortable, and I'm like, oh man, here they go again. Have a guy tell me, it's like, oh, yeah, you make some good points there, man, I should listen to you. It's that's when you gotta catch yourself and go, wait a minute, why am I hearing the same exact thing from the man and feeling okay with it. But then it comes from the woman, and I'm all of a sudden shut off. It's like, oh, because when I hear from the woman, I'm actually, I'm defensive. And
right, that's the work, right? We talk about like what's the work all the time. The work is like leaning into those uncomfortable places and pushing through them. It's not an excuse to just bubble yourself in your privilege and in comfort. I sell those T-shirts that say "Black Lives Greater Than White Feelings" for a reason, because your feelings have no place in this work. It's not about that. We have some community guidelines that I do when I do workshops. So one of them is attack the problem, not the person. Because it's not about you as an individual. Like, we're all nice people, whatever, out in this world trying to do nice things, right? Let's just assume that, generally speaking, or at least whatever we consider to be nice, right? It's not about you as a person. It's about how you fit into these systemic problems and institutional racism. That's what we're trying to get at. Stop making it about you personally and start really examining how you fit into these systems that are detrimental to marginalized people and how you can go about being less harmful as your time on this earth goes forward. That's all we're trying to talk about. Stop making it about you. We should be making it about us, and we still aren't.
Right.
I'm just trying to be real clear. Like, all the marginalized people, like, we should be out in the streets like, woe is me, woe is me. And what are we doing? We're trying to build. Right. We're trying to create. We're trying to come together. We're trying to make this world a better place collectively. Yeah, y'all need to get it together, white people.
Right. Get your shit together, white people. But that's the thing. And I think that's something that it's a larger human condition that we tend to try to get a little bit lazy and kind of don't want to work. Not everybody, but sometimes you don't want to work for the results that you desire, right? So listen, I'm trying to get myself back into shape. I used to train, used to fight and things like that. And when I used to coach, I would get these guys that come in, and it's usually the guys because we're men and we're the fucking worst. So a guy would come in to the gym and never fought before, never trained before, but as athletic as like a wet noodle. And their first thing to me is, oh yeah, man, I really want to spar. I really want to get in, I want to fight. And I'm just like, all right, cool. So what have you done before? Oh, nothing really. This is my first time, but 6 months from now, I want to fight. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, what are you going to do? Let's just get you through a class first and see how it goes. One class, and the classes were never training for fight hard. Like, the classes were to get you in shape. That's just the class everybody goes through, everybody sits through, everybody does. And after one class, sometimes they would never come back. And it's because what they want us to do is they just want to come in, put some gloves on, jump in a ring, spar. And they never wanted to actually put the work in that requires that. Before you can jump in and spar, you need to throw a punch. Before you can even throw a punch, sometimes the way we used to do our classes were first, and boxing was famous for this. First 20 minutes was jumping rope and warm up. Like, you didn't have gloves on, you weren't fighting, you weren't punching anything. You were jumping rope, you were doing squats, you were doing push-ups, you were warming up. That's the work. Like, and it's uncomfortable. It's gonna hurt. You're gonna ache. I would have guys that go into training camp, right? And they would go into training camp and training for a fight, and it's 8 weeks of hell. It's 8 weeks of, you pushing your body. It's 8 weeks of changing your diet. It's 8 weeks of, pushing yourself. There'd be guys that come in, didn't train hard, get into a fight. Like, there's one guy we had, came from another gym, said he had the fights. He barely trained. He got to his fight. He got his ass whooped. He didn't get knocked out. He just got his ass whooped for 3 fucking rounds. But it's because he didn't put the work in. He didn't work. Right. He didn't want to do the tough stuff. He didn't want to do the stuff that hurts. He didn't want to do the stuff that really makes you question yourself. And like I said, if you're in training camp and at one point you never sit there and go, man, why the fuck am I doing this shit? You're probably not working hard enough, right? And I feel like that's something that happens with a lot of us that have privilege, whether it's men and the way we look at training ourselves to be better just women's issues, or when it comes to race and white people dealing with, the marginalized community, marginalized people out there. It requires you to be self-reflective. It requires you to put some work in. It requires a little bit of pain. It requires a little bit of uncomfortableness. It's just what it is. I mean, shit, forget fighting. If you want to lose, say I want to lose 20 pounds. If I want to lose 20 pounds, there are certain things I have to do. It means going to the gym when I'm too tired. It means pushing for that extra rep when I don't want to. It means, not eating that cupcake when I really want that cupcake. It means doing some things that I don't want to do, but I have to do, and I need that if I want to get that result. What I'm thinking when it comes to some of these things is so many people, they give the lip service that they want they want equality, they want representation, but they don't really want it. You're not putting that work in, Oh yeah, it's great for you to sit there and go, oh yeah, I'm about inclusion, about diversity. All right, cool. So you're gonna next time you get a call up about being on a panel about diversity and you're a white woman, you're gonna give your spot up to a black woman or a black trans woman, right? Oh no, I can't do that. Well, why can't you? I brought this up with I was talking about. I've been watching. I watch Iron Fist, and hey, look, I don't think the reviews are accurate. I don't think it's in the context of what it is. It's not a bad show, but when you look at the campaign that went on for an Asian American Iron Fist, I think it earned those reviews because they missed an opportunity. And it's really hard to ignore some of the flaws of the show when you're looking at a white guy who's probably the most unathletic white guy I've ever seen in my life. Like, he is so unathletic.
Slow. I mean, I know you guys are probably going to talk about it, but we've only watched, I think we watched 3 episodes so far. And this is the first Marvel show on Netflix that I've been like, we could stop. Like, legit been like, not that I'm not going to go back to it, but that I wasn't like, I got to see the next one. Like, the other, even as flawed as the season 2 of Daredevil was, I still was like, no, I want to see the next one, like, right now. Why are the fight scenes so slow? Like,
everybody says that.
It literally looks like, I imagine that they have like the fight choreographers and everything, that this is like the one speed, and like the goal would be to bring it up like four speeds faster than it is, right? Like on the screen, and I'm like, wait, they missed something. I don't. Into
the Badlands comes out on Sunday, and I can't wait because those fights are so much faster than this. And like I said, it's there are problems there, but I also think the fact that Finn Jones is literally just the blandest white boy you could ever fucking get, and I think that adds to you noticing how slow the fights are. I mean, it's just what it is, and I look at this and I'm like, well, yeah, I think that honestly, Finn Jones is doing the same thing that white people always do when they take a role they probably shouldn't have taken. And you're going, oh, well, no, we have a more diverse show and we do blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is, when you got the role and you knew the controversy around it, because there's no way you didn't, why didn't you say no? Why didn't
any of this stuff, like, risk is real, right? That's the work also. It's like, you have to take some risks sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, Scarlett Johansson, she's talking about, she did Ghost in the Shell. I think it's even worse than Iron Fist, right? Again, why didn't you say no? Like, and in her case, I'm like, yo, you're Scarlett Johansson. You're getting that Marvel money. Like, you can say no. You had that opportunity. You could have said no. And you're right. That does put some risk. That changes. That requires some pain. That requires you doing a little bit more work there. But that's, like you said, that's the work. That's how you show true responsibility. That's how you show that that's what this is. I mean, you have to make sacrifices. If you don't make because here's the thing, because people of color, we always make that sacrifice.
Constantly.
We're always making that sacrifice. So
we don't even have a choice. We have to.
Right. And here's the thing. Your privilege in a lot of these cases means that you'll have a less of a hard time than the person that you gave the role to or you give the opportunity to. You just will. Another opportunity will pop up and you'll be fine. And I think so many times I think that's where it comes down to. Like, people don't want, it's one thing to speak about diversity and inclusion and doing the right thing in the third person. But when it comes time to actually do it, it's great to talk a good game. But when it comes time to actually do it and put the risk out there, put yourself out there, put the financials out there. Like, I think a lot of people go, whoa, I'm about diversity, but let's not go too far. And I'm like, that's the problem. When it comes to diversity and inclusion, there is no too far, right? You know, so yeah, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I tell people all the time when it comes to Iron Fist right now, you know if you want to see it or not, you know, and
I just feel like I have to watch it because I want to watch Defenders and I want to make sure I know all the things. So for me, it's like kind of like, okay, I'll watch it, whatever. I watch trashy TV all the time, so it can't be that bad. That's
it's not that bad.
General,
it picks up.
I mean, it's fine, whatever. I mean, Hogarth is in it. That's dope. So I know that Night Nurse is going to be on it later in the season.
Rosario's also in their thighs. It made me completely forget about the Bernie thing. Yeah.
So for me, it's kind of like, okay, it's part of this larger piece of a puzzle, and they're not all going to be, amazing.
Right.
They're not.
Right.
That's unrealistic. But I'm willing to just push through. Yeah. We'll get to the end of it and be ready for what comes next. So.
Here's how you prepare for Iron Fist. Just be prepared to watch a white guy.
Oh, wait, my bad.
No, I was going to say, just be prepared to watch a white guy in white tennis shoes and a suit. That's really one of the whitest things you can do. Like, just he's constantly putting his suit on and going to business meetings with goddamn tennis shoes on, and it's literally the whitest thing I've ever seen. It drives me crazy. It's driving me fucking crazy. I'm like, dude, did you really just put those white tennis shoes back on? Did you really? This is after spending the first episode not wearing shoes. Just saying.
Correct.
It's driving me crazy. By the way, and I just want to say there's a direct correlation between the race of people who claim to be superior to all the races and the people that walk through public gym bathrooms barefoot. I'm just saying I'm using a little anecdotal evidence here, but I don't think I'm wrong here. I don't think I'm wrong here, and makes me question things, man. Makes me question things. Like, I don't know how you can be a superior race and you're literally walking through other people's pee in public bathrooms, and it just drives me crazy. So, I'm gonna leave it there. So, speaking of superior races, Representative King, Steve King,
this motherfucker. How's he still breathing? Like, I want to know.
Look, man, I don't know what. You know what? I have a different opinion on Steve King, and is this opinion. I appreciate him for being the most consistent racist I've ever seen in public office.
So focused. Like, it's one of these things that I've realized of late. I think turning 40, I told my mom the other day that, like, the day I turned 40, I felt all of my fucks physically leave my body. And yes, I did say it just like that to my mom because she's dope. They just left me. I have none left to give. And it's given me such an interesting perspective on lots of things. Like, this situation with trans folks, and specifically with lack of support from the Black community for our trans siblings. And I had for so long been like, well, they don't understand or they don't get. And I really I've come to, since all of this Chimamanda stuff kicked off and all of this turfy shit that's been happening, it never occurred to me. It's like, oh, they really don't believe that trans women are women, and they really hate trans women and men and non-gender conforming folks. Like, they legit don't see their inherent worth and dignity. I hadn't even contemplated that because I was like, no, it must just be a misunderstanding. And Steve King always brings it home like, nah, I hate y'all Negroes, and that's the long and the short of things. Mm-hmm. So I'm clear. I will say it every time I'm given the opportunity. It will permeate every fiber of my dumbass being. I hate y'all. Y'all are inferior. You suck. We're better. White is right. That's his whole mantra consistently.
Yeah. So let's give a little background, because you remember, I think it was like 8 months ago, during the RNC, Steve King had this to say. Let me see if I can play this right now and give a little background.
And then Western civilization itself, that's rooted in.
Oh shit! Hold on, it's not playing right now. This is when it was actually during the RNC, and he basically told us, he basically asked us, what have other cultures ever really contributed to this country? Because, you know, what have we ever contributed?
You go back through history and figure out where are these contributions that have been made by these other categories of people that you're talking about. Where did any other subgroup of people contribute more to civilization?
And white people?
Than Western civilization itself, that's rooted in
subgroups of people. He said this during the RNC on live TV on MSNBC. Just because, it's one of those things that I think we all kind of got on. I think it was Chris Hayes at the time. He was listening and he didn't say anything. But Chris Hayes came back and it was just like, it was so shocking. I didn't know how to respond at that time. And I looked back at it and I looked at the video, and Chris Hayes was actually kind of confused that this guy would say this. But if you ever pay attention to anything Steve King has said, that this is par for the course. Just is. So that was back in I think that was August? I think that was August. So let's see what Steve King's up to now. He's got a nice little he's consistent. So let's see what he says.
Our destiny. We cannot restore our civilization with somebody else's babies. This is being
that's something that he actually tweeted out. Let me get back to
condemned by many. Builders understands that culture and demographics are our destiny. We cannot restore our civilization with somebody else's babies. This is being condemned by many regions of American politics and citizenry. What did you mean?
Well, of course, I meant exactly what I said, as it always is the case, Chris. And to expand on that a little further, I've been to Europe and I've spoken on this issue, and I've said the same thing as far as 10 years ago to the German people and to any population of people that is a declining population that isn't willing to have enough babies to reproduce themselves. And I've said to them, you cannot rebuild your civilization with somebody else's babies. You've got to keep your birth rate up, and that you need to teach your children your values. And in doing so, then you can grow your population and you can strengthen your culture. You can strengthen your way of life.
I mean, he admitted that he's been doing this for 10 years at least. You know what's amazing to me about white people? They really think that this is their country. They really just erase any other people other than white people from their country. It is truly amazing. Like, nobody else exists. Like, when I hear things like this from white people like Stephen King about, if we don't make enough babies, we're going to, like, you guys literally did this to another group of people already. Mm-hmm. You literally wiped out not just a group of people, several, because again, we tend to group all indigenous people and Native Americans into one large group, but they're not. There were separate civilizations, separate tribes. You literally wiped out several generations in groups of people who were already here, built the country on top of their bones, literally built on top of their bones, right? Like, how many times do we hear about some new structure or some new pipeline being built literally through the graveyards and burial grounds of Native Americans, right? You're literally building on the bones of the people you wiped out. And you have the audacity to talk about, well, if we don't have babies, our culture and civilization is going to be wiped out. You have no culture. The only culture you have is the culture you've stolen from other people. You're the fucking Borg. You're the fucking Borg. You've literally, it's like, if you don't assimilate to you, that's it. Like, that is what you are. You have no actual culture of your own, just what you've stolen from other people and assimilated into your own collective. Like, the audacity of this man to say this and then double down on it on TV. Again, I appreciate his being consistent.
Very consistent. So consistent. And it's amazing to me. It's like, oh, wait, these Trump supporters, they're not racist, all of them. We need to reach out to them. And we need to talk to them. They're so, they're just confused, Chris?
Well, you know what it is? It's the economic anxiety, right? The economic anxiety stirs up in them, right? And they just can't. Like, she's fucking, like, it's just amazing. And what gets me about it is, because he's been interviewed by Chris Cuomo, and Chris Cuomo is giving him every opportunity to walk this back.
Who's somebody else's babies?
Chris, we're a country here that, if you take a picture of what America looks like, you can do it in a football stadium or a basketball court, and you see all kinds of different Americans there. We're pretty proud of that the different-looking Americans that are still Americans. And there's an American culture, an American civilization. It's raised within these children in these American homes. And that's one of the reasons why we require that the President of the United States be raised with an American experience.
I mean, because it seemed like you were doing the opposite. Like you were trying to say someone else's babies means you're either white or you're not right. And as you know, that is anathema to what America's all about. Can we get agreement on that?
All right. What Chris Cuomo just asked, right, is a yes or no answer, right? Like, the easy way on this is say, oh, no, that's not what I meant. Obviously, right? That is the PR softball answer you give. Let's see what Steve King says.
Well, here's actually, if you go down the road a few generations or maybe centuries with the intermarriage, I'd like to see an America that's just so homogenous that we look a lot the same from that perspective. I think there's been far too much focus on race, especially in the last 8 years, and I want to see that put behind us, and I want to be as bonded together. I gave a speech on this on Saturday, and half the liberals got up and left the room when I talked about
because
the
when you
success
say
and
when you
unity and
suggest
putting
to
an end to the
anybody,
divisions.
but when
they're
you
looking for hatred is the point, Chris.
But hold on a second, Congressman. If you suggest that somebody else's babies shouldn't be welcome in a country, you seem inherently divisive. That's why I keep asking you, what was your intention with this? And you keep to seem doubling down on it. I mean, you said America's got lots of different faces, that's fine, but you keep making this point that this country needs to be about white people raising their birth rate and not bringing in other people. That's exactly what America is not.
But Chris, I never have made that point. I've never said that.
Lying ass motherfucker right here. I've never seen so many people publicly say shit and then just be like, no, I didn't say that.
You know what it is? Dave Chappelle warns about this. Is when his boy said to the cop, I didn't know I couldn't do that, and it worked. That's what this is. This is white people really going, I didn't know I couldn't do that. Like,
that's what I was told. I was told that. Somebody told me that.
Like, he literally just said this. He literally went into, well, with the intermarriage thing and stuff like that, I kind of hope for hope. Like, you're saying this, dude. Like, this is coming out of your mouth. This is a sitting Republican congressman. All right? And like, and the only difference I see between him and a lot of these other white politicians is just Steve King is safe enough and has a safe enough district that he can say this shit out loud. Because what gets me about what he said is there hasn't been an outpouring of Republicans and really honestly Democrats. Well, I think Democrats have so many other things to focus on at this point. I'll give them a little bit of pass on this one, but there's no real point. There's been no real Republicans coming out here and going, no, Steve is on his own. When he's up for re-election, he'll still get money from the RNC. They'll back him. I think he's up for re-election next year. They'll still back him. They'll still support him. If Trump had been nominating him for Attorney General, the Republicans would go, well, I work with him. I don't think he's racist, even though he said all this shit. Like,
even though. Yeah, what's that thing, like it takes a nation of whatever to hold us back or whatever? Yeah. To me, all of a sudden it takes a nation of gaslighters to hold us back. Mm-hmm. Literally, like from top to bottom, it's just been this constant, like, we're going to do this horrible shit and pretend that we didn't do it. We're going to say this horrible shit and pretend that we didn't say it. We're going to put forth all of these horrible policies and then say that they're not at all horrible. Like, it's just been, it's almost baffling. Like to see the ground shift while we're walking on it, and people act like it's normal. Like it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre.
Representative Steve King continued to just totally not racist media blitz about his comments against multicultural America by telling a local radio station that he predicts minorities will fight amongst each other before ever being able to cumulatively outnumber the white population in America. Claiming that critics of his recent comments on multiculturalism are simply celebrating the idea of a white minority America, King told WHO, when you start accentuating differences, then racial differences, then you start ending up with people that are at each other's throats, and is adding up Hispanics and blacks into what he predicts will be a greater number than white America. I will predict that Hispanics and the blacks. Can I just say that the blacks? When did they start calling us the blacks? Like, did I miss that memo? Did I miss the memo of us being the blacks? It used to be, niggers, Negroes, colored, black people, African Americans. But now we're the blacks. And I don't know when we got the blacks.
Yeah, I know that the official style guide has not changed. You can refer to black people. You can refer to African Americans as a group, but the blacks is not approved. Mm-hmm. But write that down, people. The blacks, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, and I think he might have gotten it from Trump, because Trump is the one that started doing the blacks and my African American.
Other people have been doing it too. It's been slowly creeping into. It's been about probably the last year I've seen it consistently. During the election was when it started, and the GOP primary is when I started seeing it in more earnest, especially in written form, like in articles and things. Like, the blacks did this, and the blacks need to do that.
I will predict that that Hispanics and the blacks. I'm always going to say it that way too. I'm always going to go, the Hispanics and the blacks will be fighting each other before that happens. Like, it's just, I'll give it to him, man. Consistent. He is consistent in his bullshit. And he's consistent in his bullshit racism. It's just, I give it to him. And you know what? And I appreciate this from him because he doesn't back away from it. Versus when you get, and I'm about to go into this, some of this stuff with Trump and the budget and Paul Ryan. Like, I don't see a big of a difference between, the only difference I see between somebody like Steve King and Paul Ryan is, Paul Ryan is smart enough not to say this stuff out loud. But when you see the things that Paul Ryan is supporting and doing, it is very, very fucking clear, like obviously clear, that he supports all this stuff. Like, it's just.
Ayn Rand is his, Ayn Rand is his, his Bible. So none of this shit is surprising. He's trash. He's always been trash. Like, he was trash when he ran for vice president. Been trash since he took over as Senate Majority Leader or Speaker of the House. He sucks.
Yeah, so here's Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan says he's been dreaming of Medicaid cuts since he was drinking out of kegs. Speaking to the National Review editor Rich Lowry at an event hosted by a conservative. I think I have it here. I actually have a clip. Oh, can I play this clip? Let me see. I'm gonna try something here. I've never done this before. I'm gonna see if I can hook up this audio to my laptop and see if I can play it through here. Let me know if you hear it. Let's go here.
Okay.
No, I do not hear it either. So no, it does not work. So it's not working. So
can I play?
I gotta send it to
Back to the States.
Can you hear that?
Growth rate.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, there you go.
Meaning of this since I've been around, since you and I were drinking at a keg,
Literally.
So when you say you're cutting Medicaid, which you've been dreaming about cutting people's medical insurance, like you've been dreaming about letting people die, like. People can say what they want about Obamacare, and I get it. Hey, we should have gone single payer or something like that. We still be having the same problem we're having now, in that Republicans would be fighting so much against that to repeal it and get rid of it. Like, the Republican plan has been from the get-go to let people die. I think I talked about this last week with which
is
Justin.
ironic since they went on their whole death panels like falsification tirade when the ACA was passed in the first place. And this, like, y'all, you literally made this pitch like, oh, the Dems want to kill people. Your entire plan is to let people die. Literally stated clearly. That's your plan.
Again,
Gaslighting.
After having the handshake last week, it really just started hitting me more. If there's one thing that you would think you would be off the table, like the Republic. What drives me crazy is the way that the media is still covering this. There, at this point, is very, very clear, and the Republicans are doubling down on it. So much that there are actually Republicans that are breaking from this, because even they're like, this is stupid. Paul Ryan and them are literally on some, okay, yeah, 14 to 24 million people might lose health care, but we cut costs. They're literally choosing money over death. And again, this is something that they would never do for their own family, right? Like if Paul Ryan if his kids were dying, right? And shit, fuck, I'm not even going to do that. Like, because this is something that actually literally happened. When I paid attention during the ACA hearings and President Obama's push for this. And one of the things you always say is, and people knew this was, there were literally people out there who are going bankrupt. And I think the leading cause of bankruptcy at that time was healthcare. It's because when given the choice between saving money or letting a family member themselves or someone they care about die, people chose bankruptcy. They didn't cut costs and say, oh, well, fuck it. Hey, I know I got a daughter and I know she has cancer and I know we really want her to live, but hey, look, I don't want to go bankrupt on this one. Sorry, honey. Gonna have to die. People every day did that, right? They chose life over cutting costs every fucking day. Our own VP, we found out about this, right? He was thinking about selling his house to pay for his son's medical bill.
Yep.
He was going to do, like, this came out. Like, Joe Biden was going to sell his house. And President Obama was like, no, Joe, don't sell your house. I will give you the money to help with this. Our own vice president did that, all right? This is something that we've seen people do, right? The GOP then, and now that they have the House and the Senate and they have the presidency, have come out now and goes, oh, no, we finally have an opportunity to do it. We're not going to let all those people die so we can save money. That is it. Those are the two choices. Like, look, I would love to have the argument, the Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton argument of, single payer versus making small changes to Obamacare. I'll have that argument any day of the fucking week. I think it's a very healthy, good argument to have, and it really just means that we're going to try to get more people covered. That's what that leads to. That's what we want. The argument right now we're having is, do we want to keep the people we have right now that have health insurance and allow them to keep the medical care they need, or do we save a few bucks? Oh, and let a few millionaires make more money. That is the argument the GOP is making. That is it. And it makes me angry that we're even having this discussion, and that Paul Ryan is called the policy wonk and the smart person on the Republican side. If that's the smartest person on the Republican side, this country is fucked. He's joking about, I dreamed about cutting Medicaid when I was drinking out of kegs. That means you went to college, which means you were already fucking privileged more than most people that need this so much.
Yep. And this notion too, I just felt like the whole thing with Paul Ryan is this, it's made clear that the GOP actually doesn't even have a platform. All they have is a desire to have power. And that's it. There's no standard that they require. There's no line at which they will not cross to have that power at all. There's literally nothing there. Their movement is specifically just based on hatred for marginalized people, for people of color, for women. And that's it. That's their tying, that's the tie that binds them all together. That's it. There's nothing else there. There's no on the emperor. There's nothing there. Their goals are very specific to ensure that marginalized people remain so that they have a populace to continually capitalize on. And secondarily, to move as much public money into the private sector. That's it. That's all. There's nothing else there, folks. Literally. There's nothing there. Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Opportunity hoarding and racism. That's all you got.
And they've convinced white people that it's in their best interest, not realizing that they're screwing themselves up. Like that is the thing about hatred and racism and bigotry, is that in the end you're just screwing yourself on a longer timeline. You screw yourself because once those the other subgroups are gone, you become a subgroup. And then all of a sudden you want help. You're seeing that kind of now with the healthcare stuff. Now you got the same people that were screaming at Obama, screaming at Democrats, and voted in these Tea Party people. They're now realizing that their healthcare is going to get taken away, and now they want help. And I'm like, but you asked for this, and that's what puts us as marginalized people in such a bad spot, right? Because like part of me wants to go, no, you voted for this, fuck you. No, you can die. But then I realize it's like, but then that fucks over more of me, more people like me. And so I have to help you. I have to not really help you, but at least use what your anger now that's being directed to the right place until it eventually gets turned back to me, because that's what's going to happen, because that's your history. But yeah, it drives me fucking crazy. It's just like, how dare you? Like, I just, like, these are people that literally were screaming about death panels in 2009, 2010, right?
Yes.
And they voted out their Democrats. They voted in these Tea Party people. They voted in these people that promised to get rid of this, get rid of Obamacare. And we told you that's what Trump was going to do. The Republicans told you that's what they've been trying to repeal it for 7 years now. And now you realize that means you. You now realize that's also part of your health care, and that is screwing yourself over. And I just, it's infuriating, right? It's people, people go, oh, well, no, you just gotta allow them and it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's not okay. They brought this on and they screwed us all over now. And now that, once again, it goes down to that thing of white people screwed the country over, then realize that they screwed themselves over. Now they want to talk, and now they want to play nice. And I'm just like,
the other thing that's been frustrating for me too, to turn this on the Dems as well, is this notion of like, we need to reach out to these Trump voters.
Oh God,
y'all have already put out direct statistics of people that voted for President Obama twice that didn't vote at all. Not that voted for somebody else, but that didn't show up at the polls this time. Why are you not reaching out to those folks? Why is that not your focus?
Right. Yeah.
I'm asking, like, legitimately, like, as a, folks that follow these things, it has not made any sense to me seeing those two things be true. We know that people didn't come to the polls at all the way they did in 2008 and 2012. Right? Why is that not the focus of the Democratic Party right now? Figuring out why those people were motivated in 2008 and 2012. And we know that President Obama played a huge role in that, but there's a larger capacity conversation to be had about what the left needs to do to actually coalesce its base and make them come out like they did in 2008 and 2012 without President Obama as the draw.
Yeah.
That's what the conversation should be, but nobody wants to talk about that shit. Oh, that's right, because it'll make you confront the actual racism, anti-blackness, and homophobia, transphobia, and misogyny that exists within your party. Oh, my bad.
Yep, nope. Nope.
My bad.
We want to cater to people that you've already lost, and that they will never be loyal to the Democratic Party, unlike the people you just listen, right? The marginalized are the people that are most loyal to Democrats because we had the most to lose. You're not going to go after these groups that, like these white working class voters who, by the way, I'm tired of hearing that term because Hillary Clinton won a lot of white working class voters. You have a bigger problem here. There's more racist white people here than you guys thought. And you need to address that and stop trying to reach out to them. Like, every person that voted for Trump is racist. I'm sorry. I believe that 100%. Because, I mean, he doesn't say, you can't trust anything the man says. So what did you vote for? You know, I mean, I keep hearing these Trump voters are regretting their decision, but I'm like, well, what was your decision on? Because every time he lied, you guys said, I like what he's gonna do about draining the swamp. I know there's other things like the racism and the sexism stuff. I don't really care about that, but I think he'll shake things up. He's put five. Well, he has. Yeah, if you think about it, yeah, he put 5 Goldman Sachs former execs into his cabinet. That's a shakeup. He's drained the swamp. He's drained the swamp by putting more swamp into it. That's a change. That's a change. He's double the level of swamp.
He went from to sewer. That's what he did. He went down a little.
Right. Like I just want to know, like, what were you? What was, if it wasn't racism? If it wasn't the Steve King notion of, well, you're trying to make the country white again, and you want to make sure that these other subgroups don't have their culture taken over your culture. If it wasn't that, what was it? Because he lied. He is the candidate for president that lied the most. We have not had a candidate for president in the modern era that lied as many times as Donald Trump did. Everything he said was a lie. Everything he says now is pretty much a lie. He has not told. I can't remember. Like, it is breaking news when Donald Trump tells you the truth. That is how much he lies. So what was it about him that was so appealing? You say you didn't want. You wanted to drain the swamp, and you didn't want. You felt like Hillary Clinton was going to take advantage of you. Blah blah. This is a guy who literally built his businesses off the backs of middle America and minorities, right?
Poor white people. Let's be real clear.
Yeah.
Go to Atlantic City. You'll see what this motherfucker does to poor white folks.
Yeah. Like,
you will see directly. This is nothing that's not been truly documented, has been completely obvious and not hidden at all. He doesn't even need to hide it. It's his brand.
Right.
Literally.
That's what he does. Like, you have videos of, you have images of, like there's that one of him, Melania, and Barron, and they're like in that the gold in the room that's basically all gold. There's the image of I can't remember what magazine it was on, but it was Melania eating like out of a bowl, and it was like nothing but like jewelry and diamonds and things like that. Like, this is the opulence that you all hate and that you didn't want, and yet until you voted it into the White House. This is a man who every weekend goes to Florida, and you as a taxpayer pay him to stay at his own businesses. He is literally profiting off of the presidency. So if it wasn't racism, what was it? What was it? I used to hate that, and I hate that I'm going to say this, but I was seeing recently that people have been, even liberals and Democrats have been thinking favorably of George W. Bush. And look, people will come out and go, well, no, you had the Islamophobia, you had the war, and I get that, absolutely right. I'm not trying to downplay any of that. I still think he's one of the worst presidents we've ever had, at least in my lifetime, definitely, right? However, like, I at least understood George W. Bush, right? When even the dumbness of why people voted for him. Well, I voted for him because I feel like I could have a beer with him. All right, cool. I can, stupid, but I can understand that. I can get behind that logic, right? You're not having a beer with Trump. No. like Trump's not the everyday man. Like George W. Bush at least presented himself as the everyday idiot man, right? I can get that. Donald Trump doesn't even do that. He's the billionaire idiot that failed upward because of white mediocrity. Like that's not even you. I mean, you like. I understand you relating more to George W. Bush than Donald Trump. Like, so what is it other than his blatant white nationalism, racism? What is it? There's nothing else there, and it's just, oh man, I don't fucking. I get it, but I don't get it. You know, because at some point I feel, and I think it was either last week or this week, I just gotten so exhausted and tired. Because I was thinking, I was like, you all hate us so much that you literally will destroy yourselves.
I think it's beyond the hating of us, though, because that's present and true and all of that stuff.
Right.
But to me, there's a psyche within white America that can never see themselves as anything but a winner, right? And if you're not winning currently, there has to be a reason for that has nothing to do with you. And that is at the core problem with so many issues that white America continues to perpetuate in our society. Because when they see somebody like Trump, what they see is that could be them. Mm-hmm. Which is ridiculous because you'll never be that dude, right? You don't have a dad that's going to lend you $10 million or whatever the fuck he got lent. And you're not going to be somebody who's going to spend the last 20 years not paying taxes. And you're not going to be the person that's going to get on a stage in front of America and say you hate black people and Mexicans and you're okay with grabbing women in the pussy and still get elected to the highest office in the land. That ain't going to happen for you, average white American.
Never going to happen. You're never going to get that.
And the sooner you detach yourself from this notion that because you're white, you deserve something, right? The sooner you detach yourself from that lie, the better off you'll be. Because then you'll start to be like, okay, who's really in this barrel with me? Mm-hmm. And how can I make some inroads to start working on the shit they're working on?
Right.
That's where, like, that's the work that white America needs to really confront and do. And it's not stuff that other people are going to be able to make them do, right? And it's not shit that anybody else needs. That's not heavy lifting any of us need to do either. That's the work that white people need to be organizing themselves for. Not to support yet another 70-year-old black white man or white woman in the next election. That's not your work. Mm-hmm. Your work is to get real serious about internally why your people see an affinity towards hatred and exclusion.
Right.
Why? Why is that an okay thing for them to connect to? And get at the heart of that. That's the work that needs to happen.
And why is it so hard for you to admit that? Because that's the thing that makes it so difficult to watch news today, is that if it's not a person of color there, the white person that's doing the interviewing or asking these questions never goes there. They never do. And it's just, at this point, it's become so annoying and so frustrating. I don't want to watch it. Like, I'm tired of you. Like, there's a few that'll get to the cusp of it, but they'll never actually go there. And I'm like, you need to go there. Like, they'll say things like, oh, well, you know, it doesn't really matter if Donald Trump was lying about the wiretap with Obama because, you know, his supporters don't care. And I'm like, well, why don't his supporters care? Like, isn't that the follow-up, though? The follow-up then is, why don't his supporters care? And it can't be that because they're getting something out of it, because they're really not. So what's the next? Like, where's the follow-up question? Where's the follow-up investigation as to what's going on here and what the root cause of this is? Because if you don't get there, it's like you're not doing anything. You're telling us shit we already know. Like, I feel like we're still on step one. I feel like we're still on. You know, if this is a 12-step process, it's probably longer, more steps than that. If it's a 12-step process, I feel like we get to step one, we start doing step 1.5, and then we go back to step one.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we try and really do is safety pin box, Marissa and I've developed this, we've been calling it the safety pin box method, to really get through to white folks that are engaging with the content. And there's 4 steps to it. Like, the first part is self-education. They have to learn what the fuck that they're trying to learn about themselves. They have to seek out, they have to research, they need to really go and learn. The second part is introspection. So they need to turn what they learned inward. How do I contribute to this thing? Where do I fit into it? The third thing is analysis. How does this thing fit into the larger structure of systemic racism and institutional marginalization? And then they're able to take action with all of those other steps in place. Because without those other things, they never will get to that next step. It's always going to be almost, like a perpetual startup mode. I'm learning to learn. I'm going to learn some more. Then I'm going to reflect on it. And then I'm going to learn a little bit more, and then I'm going to reflect on it. And they never get to the point where they actually do anything about it.
They're in pull-ups, right? They're in pull-ups. It's like, Mommy, wow, I'm a big boy now. Because, I pulled my pants up. It's like, yeah, but there's a step after that where you actually don't need pull-ups anymore. Can we get there? This is what happened when President Obama got elected, which should have been the first step in, really understanding racism and confronting it. It was, we're post-racial now. I was like, and every black person alive was like, well, no, wait a minute. No, that's not a lesson to learn here. And white people were just like, oh, no, it is. We're post-racial now. We got a black guy. And to the point that even the day when you see the media, they're like, oh, well, there are white people that voted for Obama, but they voted for Trump this year. So they can't be racist. I'm like, that's not the lesson to learn here. That's not here. That's not, you guys didn't get it. And that's something that white America has done all the time. Like, there's a few white comics I like listen to. One of them was Louis Black, and I used to listen to him all the time. He had several albums that came out during the Bush years. And I remember him talking about 9/11. And he was like, he broke down what should have happened after 9/11. He was like, after 9/11, what should have happened should have been a national introspective and education campaign that went on to explain this is how we got here, this is what happened, and this and to explain to the people what was going on, right? And he said this on one of his comedy albums. And the reason why it was funny because we know that didn't happen. But he was like, that's what should have happened. And instead, what we got an increase in Islamophobia because we never did that. We never went back and gave the history on Al Qaeda and the Mujahideen, and so we never got that. So most people don't understand the region and how we got to that point, and the conflict and the nuance and the complexities of what was going on there. We just went with, oh, they're terrorists, they're evil, they're wrong, they attacked us. That's it. We never got that that national introspective to understand that. Same thing happened when Obama got elected, right? We got elected and white people just patted themselves on the back and go like, we're not racist anymore because, George W. Bush was so evil and racist, and now we got Obama, so clearly we're not racist anymore. And we're just like, no, that's not the lesson you need to learn here. And, we see they didn't. And one more, so in terms of not learning lessons, it kind of ties into what we were saying about white people would kind of, cutting off their nose despite their face. Donald Trump released his budget proposal this week, and
I just wonder all the time, like literally, like it's so disturbing to see the things that are cut in this budget. And to be clear, like histrionics around the budget are only necessary in the context of what it signals about this administration, because obviously the budget process isn't solely under the purview of the White House. However, it does give an inkling into what they prioritize, right, and don't prioritize. And the framing of it is so callous to me. Mm-hmm. Like, Meals on Wheels? How are we in a conversation where Meals on Wheels is on the table?
Well, because it doesn't work. I don't know if you saw Mulvaney's discussion on that. It is truly amazing. Let me go through some of the programs that are being cut and how much are being cut right now. We have our boy Ben Carson, Department of Housing and Urban Development. The 2017 budget, it is being cut 13.2%, down to $3 billion. Department of so maybe, but you know what the thing about that is maybe Steve Harvey can talk with Ben Carson and they can meet with Trump and they can work that out.
Steve Harvey, huh? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Steve Harvey. Because you met with Trump and he wants us black people to stop being mean to Trump and get behind Trump now. So the Department of Transportation, it's budgeted down 12.7% because why the fuck not? Funding for long haul Amtrak eliminated and some money will be given back to regional services. Okay. Department of Health and Human Services, because fuck it. It's not like I've been suffering. Me and my girlfriend have been suffering from the flu or anything like that. Fuck that. Right? $5.8 billion in cuts and reorganization of the NIH, because it's the NIH, National Institute of Health. Who the fuck needs that, right? 16.2% decrease. Oh, my favorite one. Department of Education. 13.5% decrease. 20 programs were eliminated or reduced. Oh, another good one here.
After they've already rolled back the grace period for people who have defaulted on their student loans.
Yeah, because hey, well, look. Just remember, while I'm going through this, I want you guys to remember one thing. Hillary Clinton had emails. All right, just keep telling yourself that. Just remember that she had emails. The Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, 3,200 jobs slashed, and a decrease in his budget by 31.4%. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, mind you, and I know you've talked a lot about this, and what went on with Flint, and there were failures there. Huge failures. I don't think slashing more jobs and slashing more of the budget helps for the Environmental Protection Agency. Okay. Department cuts. Let's see what else we have here. They're cutting the State Department, but for some reason the Pentagon is getting an increase, a 10% increase. So the State Department is getting a 28.7% cut. The Labor Department, 20.7% cut. Department of Agriculture, because we want farm jobs and stuff like that. 20.7% cut.
You mentioned the increase in military. This is while Rex Tillerson is out here literally poking North Korea.
Oh, but look, but you got to understand, he was tired. And he needed a nap afterwards, so we had to cut his trip short. So, stamina, stamina. Us guys some stamina, just. Yeah. Let's see some of the programs cut here. Let's see, we have African Development Foundation, Chemical Safety Board, because what the fuck, who needs that? Community Development Block Grant, which in part funds Meals on Wheels, something we just talked about. Community Service Block Grants under HHS. Let's see, Essential Air Services, Global Climate Change Initiative, because apparently we're just cutting. Who the fuck needs climate change? It's not like we had a snowstorm and blizzard this week, and last week it was 70 degrees. No, climate change doesn't exist.
We just experienced the hottest year on record. That was preceded by the hottest year on record. That was preceded by the hottest year on record, which was preceded by the hottest year on record. Little things like that.
No, it's not like the icebergs are like literally falling off of the Arctic shelf and shit like that. No, fuck that. Climate change, you silly humans. Come on. So the budget literally makes no fucking sense. And like you said, the good news here is that it is just like a budget proposal, and it's not a finalized budget, but it does show you where the Trump administration is looking. The bad news is it's a Republican-led Congress, so even though there has been some pushback from Republican congressmen about some of the things in this budget, don't be surprised if a lot of these things go through, because the Republicans are fucking stupid, and they're again, like we said with healthcare, they're more about saving money than actually things that actually help people. But the thing also I want to throw in there too as well, I got an email about this at work. There's also, remember, a federal hiring freeze right now. What really drives me crazy about this is, and I think one of the things that the Trump is increasing is veteran affairs. He's giving like a 7% increase to that, but the federal government is one of the largest employers of veterans. So when you cut like 3,200 jobs from the EPA, you're more than likely cutting veteran jobs. For the life of me, I've never understood what the Republican problem is with federal jobs. They're jobs. Oh well, we gotta stop hiring. Do this federal. We need more jobs. We hate the unemployment rate is too high. Blah blah blah. But we're gonna cut federal jobs. They're still jobs.
Hello.
They still pay. They pay a lot of the veterans you claim to like, and you claim to. That makes no fucking sense. I know this because I'm a contractor who works with the government, and I know a lot of people in the government have those jobs, are former veterans. It's very rare. Like when I worked at Booz Allen, it was very rare to come across somebody who was working in the government who wasn't also former military. Very, very fucking rare. Almost, like a matter of fact, if you were working when I was working with somebody and they weren't actually former military, it was a shock. It was a shock. Oh wait, you're not former military? Oh, okay. That was the first question I was asked you. Like even me as a contractor working for Booz Allen, it was always assumed that, oh wait, so you weren't in the military? No, I'm not. Because there's already put in the, if you ever apply for a government job or shit, if you ever apply for a job, period, there's always seems to be a priority put on being former military. So when you cut federal jobs, it's a good chance you're cutting veteran jobs. But remember, trouble's good for the vets. Here's Mick Mulvaney, I think the budget white budget chief, the White House budget chief, yeah, that's right. And this is him talking about some of the budget cuts and defending some of those things, and it's a doozy.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mulvaney, just to follow up on that, you were talking about the steel worker in Ohio and the coal miner in Pennsylvania and so on, but those workers may have an elderly mother who depends on the Meals on Wheels program, who may have kids in Head Start. And yesterday or the day before you described this as a hard power budget, but is it also a hard-hearted budget?
No, I don't think so. In fact, I think it's probably one of the most compassionate things we can do to actually
programs to help the elderly.
You're only focusing on half of the equation, right? You're focusing on recipients of the money. We're trying to focus on both the recipients of the money and the folks who give us the money in the first place. And I think it's fairly compassionate to go to them and say, look, we're not going to ask you for your hard-earned money anymore. Single mom of 2 in Detroit, okay? Give us your money. We're not going to do that anymore unless we can guarantee. Please let me finish. Unless we can guarantee to you that money is actually be used in a proper function. And I think that is about as compassionate.
Honestly, that pisses me off so much to hear these rich motherfuckers talk about how poor people spend their money. Like, this country's so fucked, Chris, honestly. Like that, it incenses me.
Like, wait.
With report after report proving how difficult it is to make ends meet, as how expensive it is to be a poor person in this country. Nothing but data. Nothing but structural, data that show this to be a fact over and over and over again. I'm just so sick of, and by extension, this pertains more accurately to Black women than anybody else, because it's this perpetual stereotype of this makers and takers bullshit.
But
it's fucking gross.
Well, it's even worse than that. He tried to flip it though. He tried to say not that that single mother in Detroit is taking too much, but he's not going to ask for her money as on taxes to pay for things like Meals on Wheels or Head Start programs or programs that are actually probably benefiting, actually more of a benefit to her and her kids. But they will ask that single mother in Detroit to pay for an F-35 that we don't fucking need. Like, because you're increasing the budget for defense. So you're telling me, like, he said that it's one of the most compassionate things they can do. Like, the amount of just, like, God, if it seems like I'm tongue twisted, it's because we started this show when around the time of Bush. And I remember some of those times when Bush would say things or his administration would say things, and it would drive me crazy going, this motherfucker's stupid. Like, that's not true. Trump is making me, I literally would wish we had George W. Bush at this time. Because even with all the problems I had with Bush, and yeah, we can go with, some of the things he did, and I might say, he was never he had compassion. Like, I remember one of the things Bush said when he got out of office, he was like, one of his biggest regrets was he couldn't do immigration reform. He actually wanted that. That's not to say that he didn't have any negative things. Oh, there's plenty of bad things I hate about Bush, and good God, that Dick Cheney. Let's don't get me started on that evil son of a bitch, right? But
that's evil.
Right, but this Mick Mulvaney is literally trying to tell us that our lying eyes are wrong. That this budget here, where he's literally cutting Head Start. Let me see if I can find this other thing. I don't know if it's this clip here, but there's a clip he has where he literally tries to tell us that programs like Meals on Wheels and after school programs don't show results.
Meals on Wheels is not a federal program. It's part of that community, that CDBGs, the block grants that we give to the states. And many states make the decision to use that money on Meals on Wheels. Here's what I can tell you about CDBGs, because that's what we fund, right? Is that we spent $150 billion on those programs since the 1970s. The CDBGs have been identified as programs since, I believe, the second Bush administration, as ones that were just not showing any results. That we can't do that anymore. We can't spend money on programs just because they sound good and great. Meals on Wheels sounds great. Again, that's a state.
Let me stop real quick. You're spending money on stealth jets that we don't use. You have drones now. You don't need stealth jets. You're literally you spent so much money on the F-22. I work in the defense industry. You spend money on this F-22. That's literally a jet you don't really use anymore. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Decision to fund that particular portion of it, to take the federal money and give it to the states and say, look, we want to give you money for programs that don't work. I can't defend that anymore. We cannot defend that anymore. We're $20 trillion in debt. We're going to spend money. We're going to spend a lot of money, but we're not going to spend it on programs that cannot show that they actually deliver the promises that we've made to people. Let's talk about after-school programs generally. They're supposed to be educational programs, right? And that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to help kids who don't get fed at home get fed so they do better in school. Guess what? There's no demonstrable evidence they're actually doing that. There's no demonstrable evidence they're actually helping results, helping kids do better in school, which is what, when we took your money from you to say, look, we're going to go spend on an after-school program, the way we justified it was, these programs are going to help these kids do better in school and get better jobs.
I want to fight these motherfuckers. I don't think I ever wanted to fight George W. Bush or people in it or his underlings like that. Maybe Dick Cheney, because Dick Cheney really was like Darth Vader. So
I would have faced up on. I would have squared up on.
Yeah. I mean, Dick Cheney was Darth Vader. So who among us never wanted to actually take a lightsaber to Dick Cheney, right? So there's that. But I want to fight this dude. If I was sitting there in the White House press briefing, I would have got up and I would have punched this fucker in the face. Because he's literally trying to tell us that after-school programs don't show results. That is literally one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever seen. Look, I grew up privileged, all right? My mom was a teacher. I lived in a two-parent home. We didn't really struggle for money. We had, I didn't struggle for money like that as much as any other, middle class black family struggles for money. So we had some money issues here and there, but nothing really I was never starving for a meal, though, right? Mm-hmm. But as a son of a teacher, I knew kids that were. As a kid who did after school programs and did things like, did after school things, I knew other kids who were. This idea that somehow you're not seeing any results from keeping kids who otherwise wouldn't get food. We're not forget getting educated. Wouldn't get food. A necessity of life, right? The idea that if you take away these programs, that you're not seeing any results from kids that get food or get a way to not be in, put themselves in terrible situations, whether it's, maybe an unsafe home environment, an unsafe, just being kids. And because I don't want to make it seem like it's just a thing for any city kids. As a kid, you get yourself in trouble. Idle hands, man. It fucking happens. All right. So this idea that not having after school programs that feed kids, that give them something to do that is constructive, don't show results, is literally the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard from anybody in my life. It makes no goddamn sense.
It's just a blatant lie. Again, study after study shows that to be not true, and the value and benefit of after school programs and meal, supplemental meal programs at schools. This is not, to even put forth this notion that these programs were in place, created, and existed in a vacuum where nobody has ever held them accountable is ridiculous. They're there for a reason because they fucking work. And on the flip side of that is that really, to me, all of this talk is really centered around the unspeakable thing, which is the unspeakable thing is that they want poor Black and brown people to exist and need those folks to continue to remain marginalized and shut out from success, because that's where those are the people they exploit continually. Yeah. They need cheap labor, right? This is how they create cheap labor in this country.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
None of it's all a means to an end. Again, moving public money into the private sector and continuing to make money off of the backs of poor, marginalized people consistently.
I mean, I was going to call it a conspiracy theory, but it's not really a conspiracy theory. But yeah, if you wanted a way to drive up the crime rate and to get yourself the big black monster that you've been drumming up during the election and get things where you want, this is how you do it. You cut the funding to those places that have shown increases and have shown improvement. You give more money to police. You give less opportunities to kids, to marginalized kids of color, particularly black kids and brown kids. You increase just law enforcement in general, not just police, but immigration and enforcement and things like that. You do this stuff. I saw somebody trying to give him credit for decreasing funding to like federal prison or something like that. But somebody pointed out, I was like, yeah, you're doing that, but that's because there's for-profit prisons. So again, like you said, they're taking that money and switching it to the private sector, because guess what? This is what happens when you get a bunch of private sector motherfuckers into government.
Look, I live in a state that has been run by private sector folks, businessmen that have come in to make things better. And this state is a fucking travesty. From coast to coast, from north to south, it's a disgusting, disgusting mess. Betsy DeVos is from my state. She's from my town, actually. She's from the city I fucking live in. She lives here, okay? The school system here is a fucking travesty. Across the state, she has put this branded, private sector first mantra into our public school systems here in Michigan, and they're a fucking joke. 50% of all black people in this state live under emergency management, which means that the elected officials that they put in office have absolutely no say in what happens, which subsequently means their votes mean nothing. They have no voice in the democratic process in this state anymore. That's the reality of a businessman taking over a state and municipal areas within a country. It's why I've been so just like literally watching everything that has happened here in Michigan just spread out across the country has been a surreal experience for Michiganders in movement spaces. I talk with them all the time. One of my sheroes and mentors, myself, Monica Patrick Lewis, who has been fighting in Detroit for school systems, for clean water, for land for black people that has been systemically taken away by the governor of this state for decades. And she says to me, she goes, but Leslie, it's this brand of politic is rolling out everywhere. And it's being instilled and installed into our federal government right now with no accountability like there is here. Mm-hmm. And no attention paid to the consequences therein. When the city that I live in on the same day will have a report come out, one of the top 10 places to move in the entire country, and the fourth worst place for black people to live in the country. Same day, Chris. Mm-hmm. The same day. That's the reality of businessman as leadership. Yeah. It doesn't work. That's why we have politicians and lawmakers, and then we have the private business sector. It's a purpose for them being separate.
Yeah, it's one of the things that drives me crazy whenever I hear that. I'm like, but these are the same businessmen that we look at and we see things that we don't like. We see that they don't have diversity. Like there was the whole thing about it was a funny picture. It was Mark Zuckerberg talking to a room full of like young black teens or something like that, and the caption was, "And that is why I won't hire any of you at Facebook." You know, because it's that thing. It's like, I think he recently came out. Reason said that, the diversity in tech is something we all need a problem that we all need to look into and work on it and solve ourselves. I'm like, but you guys haven't done it. Like it's an easy solution. Hire more black people. Like it's that simple, right? There's no strategy you need for it. You don't need a diversity strategy. You just need to hire minorities. It's a one-step thing. It's like, what do I do here? How do I eat the sandwich? Put it in your mouth. Oh, okay, cool. I don't need a 12-step program for that. But like that's what you get when you get business, right? And you have a group that's sometimes looking at more out for themselves than for the company. I mean, we're just talking about Iron Fist. It's one of the interesting things that happened in Iron Fist at one point is when Danny's there and he's talking about there's a discussion about the Rand Enterprises selling this drug. And Danny's like, we should sell it at cost. The company's like, we can't sell it at cost. It's like, we won't make any profit from it. And I'm like, that is exactly why you don't have business running your government. Because they're talking about how they have a different idea and a different priority about what is important here. Government should not be run like a business because businesses put profit and growth separately from sometimes just doing what's right and doing what saves as many people as possible. That's just what it is. You can't run a country like a fucking business. A country has to be run in a lot of gray area. It's not black and white. It can't work in the way the business run. It just can't do that. And it's just infuriating to see people, white people, to be honest, not understand that and not understand what they're doing to not just, like at this point, again, you're doing it to yourselves. Like, yeah, you're fucking us over too, but you're fucking yourselves over as well. Like so many things that Republicans are in government now is we gotta work on these entitlement things. Like these things you fucking screwed up. You screwed it up for everybody else. There's all this talk about all these articles we see about millennials just they want all these benefits and they don't want to work for us. Like motherfucker, we're working harder than you all are. We're working way harder than you got. You all got so many the generations before us as a whole got so many opportunities. Particularly white generations before us. You had so many opportunities and handouts and things like this to help you along. Now you're doing that thing where you shut it off and you're expecting people to pull themselves above their bootstraps. Like you see people that are so, and you get this, that they've conditioned us all to believe this. Because you see people going like, oh yeah, I have vacation hours, but I don't know if I want to take them. Wait. You've earned them. Why wouldn't you take them? Like, they're your hours to take. It's your vacation to take. Take your fucking vacation. Oh, I just don't know. I don't know how it'll look if I take a vacation. It's like, what the fuck? What's the point of working if that's all you're going to... It's just... it's all just very, very fucked up. Last thing before we get into a great moments in white privilege, I want to throw this in there because I know this stuff that you've talked about and I don't know if you've probably heard about this. With everything going on, I've kind of taken a step back a little bit because there's so much going on. And I'm not even going to talk about the whole thing that came out with Darren Wilson and Michael Brown because I feel like my quick answer on that one is duh.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. When the information came out about, Darren Wilson lied and he said, he lied about, like, there was the thing about him lying about Michael Brown reaching for his gun, things like that. And I was like, I'll be honest, when I saw that come out, I was like, I thought we already knew that. And then it hit me, I was like, oh, wait, no, white America didn't believe that.
No, they didn't believe that. A white business owner told my husband, he was like, this Black Lives Matter stuff, I just think, it's just was predicated on a lie. This whole hands up, don't shoot thing. It's just, it was a bad move. And they really picked the wrong victim.
Oh, wait. Let me before you go any further. Did that guy listen to? Does he watch Morning Joe? Because
I'm sure he's a libertarian, so.
Oh, because that sounds word for word what Joe Scarborough said. That
I'm sure.
Literally, is predicated on a lie, and that Michael Brown was the wrong victim to get behind. Like that is literally what Joe Scarborough said.
Not just Joe Scarborough. Listen, there's a lot of leftist white folks that said that too. Yeah. Fucking, what's the dude, Christoph? What the fuck is that dude's name from the New York Times?
Oh, I don't know, but yeah, I remember that article.
Nicholas Christoph, he said the same shit.
Yeah.
Said the same shit. It should have been around Tamir Rice. My dude, don't nobody give a shit about Tamir Rice either. Just so you're aware.
Right.
Fighting on the ground for Tamir Rice too, and none of y'all care. Yeah. Watch this 12-year-old child get gunned down in cold blood in 12 seconds by police, and still, well, he shouldn't have been X.
Yeah.
His stepfather did Y. Why is his mother doing B? Nah. There's no perfect victim.
No, there's no.
And we need to prove our perfection in order to deserve our lives not to be taken.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and even when there is quote unquote a perfect victim, they just get forgotten. It just fuck it. But there's so I wasn't gonna get into the Darren Wilson thing. Like, yeah, it came out. Duh. We told you that. We told you when the first accountings of what Darren Wilson said, it didn't make any sense. Because if I'm a black guy, and there's a police department that I know goes after black people, I'm not reaching for a cop's gun. That's not going to happen. Like, come on. I don't also, whatever. And then there was the video that came out that showed that potentially Michael Brown had been in the store before and had bought cigars and was just going back to get them. There's that. Yeah, I'm just like, funny how all this stuff was available before, but didn't get brought up. Yeah. So,
it was available to the grand jury. Let's be real clear about that. None of this shit is like information that wasn't presented to those white people that decided that Darren Wilson did deserve to get punished for murdering in cold blood, which he admits, quite frankly, is what happened.
Yeah. So,
what weapon did he have? Well, he had his big black body.
Oh God, I saw that, and when asked, well, so he was unarmed. Well, and this is not bullshit. You can go look this up. He literally says this. He goes, well, he had his fist. So technically, he's not like.
You had a gun, taser, pepper spray, but his fists.
Ooh, yeah. So but I wasn't even going to get into that case because there's another one that came up that I just saw. Bomani Jones retweeted this morning. On June 23rd, 2012, Darren Rainey, a schizophrenic man serving time for cocaine possession, were thrown into a prison shower at the Dade Correctional Institution. The water was turned up to 180 degrees, hot enough to steep tea or cook ramen noodles. As punishment, 4 correctional officers, John Fan, Cornelius Thompson, Ronald Clark, and Edwina Williams, kept Rainey in the shower for 2 full hours. Rainey was heard screaming, "Please take me out. I can't take it anymore." Kicking the shower doors, inmates said prison guards laughed at Rainey and shouted, "Is it hot enough?" Rainey died inside the shower. His body was found crumpled on the floor. When his body was pulled out, nurses said there were burns on 90% of his body. A nurse said his body temperature was too high to register with a thermometer, and his skin fell off at the touch. You would assume. Well, actually, no. At this point, you wouldn't assume because you know what the rest of the story is going to be. But in an unconscionable decision, Miami-Dade County State Attorney Catherine Fernandez Rundle's office announced Friday that the 4 guards who oversaw what amounted to a medieval-era boiling will not be charged with a crime. The shower itself was neither dangerous nor unsafe, the report said. The evidence does not show that Rainey's well-being was grossly disregarded by the correctional staff. Rundle's office announced that the results of the investigation on Friday afternoon's news dump, the kind that public officials typically only use to bury unflattering news and information. Rundle's office would clearly like this case to vanish on the weekend, but the facts of the case are so inhumanely grotesque that the decision should haunt the office for eternity. They boil the man alive.
Literally.
They boil the man alive, and the DA's office said,
Well, let's be clear. The DA's office is just standing firmly ensconced into what our criminal justice system has laid out with regard to inmates in prisons.
Yes.
They no longer have rights that you assume as a citizen in the world. Once you are incarcerated, you lose all of those rights. You are a slave. You become property.
Yep.
By the law. To be clear, by the law, you no longer are a person anymore. So, of course, they see nothing wrong with doing all this stuff. It's why so many of us are prison abolitionists. Mm-hmm. There's no role that prison should play in a healthful society. There's no role that it should play in our society in terms of rehabilitation, because there's no rehabilitation where people's humanity is continually and systemically denied in a situation.
Boiling a man alive is not rehabilitation.
There's no pretense of rehabilitation. All it is you're there to be used up, and treated however they feel you need to be treated.
And let's also be clear that when it comes to being a correctional officer, there is no real training for that. Like, I've seen shows. I think it was you should watch a lesson.
Did overseers require training? No.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Because they literally they go to places like I think it was Alaska State Troopers where I watched it. And it was basically like that was like a person who got fired for the job, couldn't find a job, and they decided to become a correctional officer. Mm-hmm. That's literally what it is. It's one of the, and so when you get something like that, it doesn't seem like a big deal. You're like, oh well, hey, they're employing people who have lost their job. That's great. But what you don't understand is what you get a bunch of people who are now in a job that they didn't want, but they have to have. So they already resent their job, and then they start resenting the people that they're overseeing. That's never a good thing. And then you've empowered them to the point where they can literally beat these people to death and get no consequences for it. Yeah. Let's see. Fernandez Rendell's 72-page closeout memo leans heavily on an autopsy that has been roundly criticized by civil rights advocates. Excuse me. The report claims Rainey was not found with burns when he died. Howard Simon, executive director of the Florida American Civil Liberties Association, has said in the past that the autopsy, which was leaked to the press during the investigation, funny how it always leaks to the press during an investigation, right? Funny what leaks. Showed that a federal investigation was needed. Rundle's office, however, noted that one Miami-Dade cop reported that nurses said Rundle's body had red areas on it, and that his skin was indeed slipping off after being removed from the shower. Rundle's memo said, however, that this could have instead been due to body decomposition rather than burns. Are you fucking serious right now? The body decomposing. So here's the thing: he was in the shower for 2 hours. If his skin slipped off during body decomposition, how that's a fucking problem. Yeah, so I just want to throw that out there that everything else going on here, I expect us getting more. Can you imagine? I actually don't want to imagine the next big cop shooting that happens under this president. Like I'm afraid on so many levels for when that happens. Not if it happens, when it happens, because we know it's going to happen. I'm afraid of what's going to happen. Because the way this president the way Donald Trump reacts to things like this and blindly supports law enforcement, I am very afraid for everyone involved who goes and launches a protest. We've had some. It's to say, not that I haven't been worried about people who do this already. But under Trump, that worry just increases tenfold.
No, for sure. I had a whole thread where I talked about white supremacy morphing to criminalize protest ahead of this election and how we are seeing that play out now. And it's something that we've seen continually in our history, which is white supremacy is super slippery. And once you deal with one aspect of it, it has already moved into another sector and criminalizing behavior that just shows up in marginalized communities in order to continue to incarcerate them. So, we saw post slavery during Reconstruction, vagrancy now became something that was criminalized. Right? Mm-hmm. So black people who were previously slaves and now they're out in the world trying to figure out, because they didn't get their their mule and their acres, their 40 acres. They never got those things, right? So now they're out there trying to pick up migrant work, pick up whatever they could do. And so you criminalize that behavior. And now you just get to go round up Negroes that are just walking around trying to live.
Yeah.
Now you put them back to literally pick cotton for free for private entity and the state. Mm-hmm. So we've seen this continually, and for sure what we're watching right now is this criminalization of protest movements. Yeah. And so that's why, when you see black and brown people reacting viscerally to white people protesting and what it looks like when they protest versus when we protest, that's why. You mean cops don't just come over and hug you and take pictures and it's just all, like a Woodstock event? I'll just my personal experience, I have had cops slam and step on my feet on purpose. I have had cops pinch me to get a reaction to the point where I was bruised when I got home. And I'm just talking about me, personally, Leslie Mack. These are things that police have done to me during protest action. Pushed me to the ground, pulled my hair. We've seen white supremacists. Sorry, we've seen white supremacists. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of echo real quick. We've seen white supremacists literally go out and shoot people recently. Like there was an incident where there was a man from India who was a software engineer who was killed. He was killed in his own driveway, shot by, and this made no news. I think it was yelled at, go back to your country. Yep. Like I'm saying, I'm very, very worried and concerned when the next big. And again, I keep saying win because it's going to be win. It's going to be win. And I'm very, very concerned about that. So, all right, let's move on. Let's do a great moments in white privilege, and then let's get some black woman shout out, and we'll get out of here. So, here we go. All right, great moments in white privilege, guys. You guys know how we do this. So here I found this very interesting this week. Sources: Sean Hannity once pulled a gun on Juan Williams. The Wall Street Journal's columnist who called Hannity the dumbest anchor on Fox News is a jackass, according to Hannity. Let's see. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find actually when this happened. Hannity's version of entertainment can go too far. Last year, after ending one of his many spirited on-air arguments with liberal commentator Juan Williams, Hannity pulled a gun and pointed directly at Williams, according to 3 sources with knowledge of the incident. 3 sources. He even turned the laser sight on, causing a red dot to bob on Williams' body. Hannity was just showing off, the sources said, but the unforeseen off-camera antic clearly disturbed Williams and others on set. For the record, Hannity's colleagues brought the Williams incident to the attention of Fox News execs, though it's not clear whether anything came of it. Well, he's still on air, isn't it? So, the sources say that it went to Bill Shine, the network's co-president and longtime Fox executive, who is Hannity's longtime friend and former producer. A Fox News spokesman said the incident was referred to Legal and Human Resources Department. Sean Hannity has been trained in firearm safety since he was 11 years old and has a license to carry a gun in 5 states, including New York, Fox News said in a statement to CNN Money. The situation was thoroughly investigated and it was found that no one was put in any danger. The Fox News spokesperson also provided the following statements from Hannity and Williams. While discussing the issue of firearms, I showed with my good friend Juan Williams my unloaded firearm in a personal and safe manner for educational purposes only. Hannity's statements read, every precaution and procedure that I have been trained in since the age of 11 was followed. I had a concealed carry permit in 5 states for all of my adult life. Any other interpretation of this is outright false reporting. From Williams' point of view, says, this is being sensationalized. Everything was under control, was under total control throughout, and I never felt like I put it in harm's way. It's clear that Sean put my safety and security above all else, and we continue to be great friends.
somebody flash a camera in Juan Williams' face, just to be on the safe side. This is one of those that's amazing. He pulled a gun. Pulled a gun on a friend. Turn laser sight on. Referred to illegal, and clearly other people like I'm reading the statement from Juan Williams, and I'm like, you're like, God, this is why I can't stand you. It was referred to illegal because there were enough people there that were worried. If it was just a planned, safe, nobody's life was feeling threatened thing, nobody would have felt any kind of way. This white man pulled a gun on a black man on set, and nothing happened.
I saw somebody tweet something like, I'm afraid of Sean Hannity just listening to him. So for sure, there's no way that you're pulling a fucking gun on me. And I'm not like, yeah, dude, you know.
I'm going to tell you right now.
No.
Sean Hannity does that. As soon as he puts the gun down, I know it's not anywhere near him. He's catching fucking hands. I'm whooping his ass. I'm sorry. You pull a fucking gun on me? You pull a gun on? Like, dog. When I read this, I got angry for one. And I'm like, and I can't stand people like Juan Williams who consider to be liberal. And I'm like, you're not liberal if a friend of yours is Sean Hannity. Because you don't realize the threat. You don't realize the threat. He pulled a gun on you and you're just like, well, he knows what he does. It's Sean. He gets a little out of control sometimes. I still don't understand how Sean Hannity exists because he's not a journalist. He's the guy that president. This is where a president gets some of his fake news from. He gets from Sean Hannity. He just has a face you want to punch. Like if anybody had a face it's Sean Hannity. I would punch the fuck out of him. There's a reason why he has a concealed carry weapon, gun. And what do you have a concealed weapon license for? You're fucking Sean Hannity. What do you need it for? Oh, that's right, because you are such a weak piece of shit human being. You need to feel powerful. Sean Hannity couldn't win a fight in his fucking life. So you need a gun. You need a gun. That's what it is. And I don't believe that anybody who has a gun is trying to overcome. I don't go with that. But there are certain people like Sean Hannity, which I know. Yes, that's what it is. Because you couldn't win a fight in your life. And the only way you can do that, the only way you can exert your power is if everybody knows you have a gun on you. Put it the other way, if it was the other way around, Juan Williams would never be invited back, and he would have been fired and sued and maybe even arrested.
Maybe.
Just unfucking believable.
That definitely is like the epitome of white privilege. Pulling a gun on folks and just like, hey,
that's what he does. I'm Sean Hannity. Yeah, he does it sometimes. Well, you know what it is. I like I said, I read it this week and I was like, yeah, I'm between that and that chick called Van Jones, a house nigger. It's only March and I'm done with white people. Like it's just. In 2017, like usually it takes me about a half a year to be done with white people. I was done with white people I don't think it was January, end of January. Like you guys are just get your shit together. Anyway, all right. Last segment that honestly I'm so happy because you haven't been on since we started doing this.
I haven't. It's so cool.
And I'm really happy because, like I said, you and Marissa and Safety Pin Box were the inspiration for me doing this. So our Black Woman Shoutouts time. I have several now today because I want to try to get some of this list down here. So the first one is our Artistry Salon studio. I believe they also had they had an empowerment brunch in February. So just going forward, if there's a time sensitivity with your with your promotion, just let me know in the subject line of the email you sent, just so I know to kind of bump it forward a little bit. They had an empowerment brunch, but I know they'll probably do some other stuff there. They're a black-owned nail salon in Wilmington, Delaware. It's Artistry Salon Studio on Twitter. I mean, actually, no, I think that's on Instagram. And Twitter is Artistry SS. And again, that'll be in the show notes. You can check them out. So again, if you're in Delaware, you need a black-owned nail salon, check them out. Artistry Salon Studio. We also have Black Orchid Beauty. This is an all-natural body and lip scrub. They have beard oil, scalp oil, and they're working on body butters. It's blackorchidbeauty.com, and it's at blackorchid_BBO on Twitter. Another one is our third one today is also, I think I never do these in in groups, but it seems like that it worked out that way. So we have a lot of we have a lot of salons and beauty products today. We have Shearfirhair Salon, Denise McKinley. It's Midtown Atlanta, Shearfirhair Salon, and I'll have the address for you. And I think, it's styleseat.com/Denise McKinley 2 for booking. And she has an email and a number you can call, and I also have an Instagram, and you can find them at Shearfirhair Salon by Denise on Facebook. And again, that'll all be in the show notes for you. And then the last one, fourth one here. So I thought I had 3, but I actually have 4. Because this one's a Kickstarter for me, and I knew I read this one, and I wanted to throw it in there because I think the Kickstarter ends on March 22nd. So I want to get this out there. Well, Laura Simpson, principal game designer at Sweet Potato Press, which, by the way, I just love that name, Sweet Potato Press. Sweet Potato Press is a 2-person indie game design studio. We are a creative studio with a focus on analog games. Our creations tell surprising, memorable stories from a variety of perspectives. They have a Kickstarter for a game. They have Companion's Tale. It's a map-making storytelling game about an epic hero from a point of view of a hero's companions. It's featured on One Shot Podcast, and I'll have the link there. The game is for 3 to 4 players. It takes approximately 2.5 hours to play. It uses an evocative world-building rules and a deck of inspirational themes and art, and a series of rotational roles for shared storytelling. Together, you'll build a history and culture of the realm, fill in a rich and changing map, and reveal your companion's tales. Whose version of the hero's story will become canon, and whose will be a footnote in history. The Kickstarter launched in February and was quickly funded. The project is open for pledges as it unlocks new variants and takes your story to a new direction. Again, I'll have the link for the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter ends until March 22nd, so you can go out there and support them for that. And actually, you know what? Let me see. I'll bring the next one I have, and I have a comic book that I wanted to bring up as well, but I'll do that for next week's Black Woman Shoutout. But please check out all of these women here and their work, and if you can, support the Kickstarter. Support this out there. Like I said, the variety of things we've gotten has been really inspirational. Not just seeing what Black women are doing out here, which is just a lot. But honestly, it's been inspirational for me as well, just to see the ideas and what everybody else is working out there. And it's great to see other Black people living their dream and working on their dreams. So it's been really great. And if you want to shout a Black woman out, or if you're a Black woman yourself and have a business or event you want free promotion on, email us at bwbusiness@mtrnetwork.net, and we'll add you to the queue and we'll get to them all. And again, if you've already emailed me, I'm not forgetting you. I will get to you. I promise. We're going to do this, and it's been really fun doing this. So thank you guys very much for that. And Leslie, do you have a Black woman you want to shout out for your Black woman shout out?
I do. I'm going to give a shout out to Stephanie Lampkin, who launched at South by Southwest this past week the new app called Blendor, which is a tech firm application, hiring app that seeks to remove bias, both racial and gender bias, from the hiring process. It's really exciting kind of tech fix for what is a huge problem in the tech sector, which is getting, as you mentioned earlier, hiring people of color and marginalized folks to become part of these companies specifically. And so Paige launched softly, and then she had a kind of like, I think, a beta test launch during her presentation at South by Southwest, and it's super dope. She has 12 companies that have, or I think 19 companies that have already signed on to use the app, and they're pretty big folks like Google and Facebook. She really targeted smartly companies that are already making moves or trying to do something about their diversity problems, and she kind of used that as a way to get them to buy into it, and hopes to have about 50 at the end of the year. And part of the story is that, she raised about $100,000 in pre-seed money before launching or during the launch phase. And half of that came from this amazing organization called Pipeline Angels, which is a network of women investors and social entrepreneurs to diversify funding. So, they were started only about, hold on a second.
It's always funny. You get the dogs that.
Good Lord, these dogs. Only about 25% of all angel investors are given to women, and 5% are given to minorities. So just imagine the intersection of being a woman and in a minority group. And so Pipeline Angels is this amazing group of solely women that fund projects that are put forth by women of color. And 20% of all of their giving thus far has gone directly to Black women, including to Blendor. And it's been dope. One of the things that Marissa and I have been really blessed by is so many women of color business people and entrepreneurs have reached out to talk to us directly, have meetings with us, whether it was Catherine Finney, who spoke with us, and Natalia Oberti Neguera, who founded Pipeline Angel. She spoke with us. Lovey took the time to spend a phone call with us just to reach out and be a support system for us. It's been an amazing group of women to get in touch with and to connect with, because I never set out to be a business owner. So it's been a bit of a learning curve for both of us. And we've had amazing mentors that have stepped up and into the void to help us navigate that space. And Pipeline Angels is a really dope group of women. And, Stephanie's project is really amazing. And of course, like most Black women, it's like, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. And
yeah, I it's funny you mentioned that. I'd seen something about it. Maybe you retweeted something about it, but I remember you started talking about it. I was like, wait, I've recently read about this week. So no, that's great. That's awesome. And like I said, I'm really humbled seeing the work that everyone's doing, from the small businesses to some of the bigger businesses, and it's important. It's one of those things that we kind of undersell with seeing, whatever your feelings are of Obama's presidency, right? President Barack Obama's presidency. There's good, there's bad there, you can be in between. But I think that we can all say that, seeing that Black family in the White House has a positive effect, because it makes you go, oh, that is possible. And I think that it affects us all. Like, when you don't see anybody else, yeah, sure, people go, well, if somebody else is not doing it, you go out there and do it yourself. I mean, that sounds great, but for white, you hear that a lot from white entrepreneurs, and sometimes I need to hear that, but then at the same time, I'm like, that's easy for you because there is somebody else doing what you're doing. Even when you think that nobody else is doing what I'm doing, maybe not a specific thing, but somebody is doing that. Somebody has done something similar, and there is a roadmap for you. You can see yourself, and sometimes seeing yourself is the motivation you need to go forward. So, starting people always make it seem like being a business person is easy, and like, this, you guys weren't setting out to be this large business, but it's becoming that. It's becoming its own thing, and being that is hard. Like, when you start having to do these things, like it requires a commitment. Like, this is a thing that, especially in our community, sometimes you hear people just call themselves a CEO, right? So I'm a CEO. I do this because I, have my event planning thing, and I just do this on the side and stuff like that. And that's cool. But when you really want to be a small business and actually take it to that next level and be a business and work on that and grow it and have a strategy and go forward, man, that's scary. That's scary. It's hard. And just seeing somebody else who looks like you, it's just like going to it's like going to a job. If I go into my job and there's nothing but white people there, hey, I'm going to be okay. But if I see another Black person, I can give them that black person a head nod. It just makes you feel a little bit better, And so, yeah, I'm like, as much as I know we're doing, like, I've seen some people, and that's great. If you buy anything from these businesses, please at them and let them know that you're buying them, and it also lets me know that people are out there that we're helping, because sometimes I don't know. I know when we did I think it was Black Proverbs, a lot of people started buying things and they added them. I was like, oh wow, this is actually working. Because sometimes I do this stuff and I'm putting this stuff out there and I don't know if I'm actually doing any good. So it's nice to know that it's helping, but like, it's confidence. It makes it it feels good to know that these businesses are out there and that there's help coming and there's support coming, and it gives me inspiration, and it's just incredible to see all these things out there. Like I'm literally just humbled by and amazed by some of the things that get submitted to me that I see, and I'm like, wow, I could never do that. Like, how are you doing this? And it's inspirational. So yeah.
Well, let me say this. There's definitely, the power of what you've been doing with these Black women shout-outs is it lends legitimacy to a lot of these businesses. People will be like, oh, yeah, I heard about that. Or, it allows them to say, like, somebody heard it somewhere else. And that adds so much, support to businesses, small businesses as they're growing, especially. So it's important and it's really appreciative, and I just love it so much.
Yeah, I'm loving it too. So, all right, ma'am, thank you very much for joining me. It has been a pleasure having you on. Let me lower that a little bit because it's a little bit too loud. But it's been a pleasure having you on and talking about this. It's been great getting you back on to talk about Safety Pin Box and seeing where you've grown, and it's been truly amazing. So thank you for coming on so much. And
for having me, per usual. I'm here anytime you call. I'm ready to come chop it up with you because we always get to rant a bit, and I get to talk about all this stuff that I refuse to talk about on my own show. So it's great for me.
Sometimes you need that. So, there's a reason why I have all these other shows that involve like nerd stuff, because sometimes I can only do the Insane Check once a week, yo. I can only do it. I'm sorry. I can't do more than that. I'm sorry. It just won't work. So please tell everyone where they can find you, not just your podcast, but also Safety Pin Box and everything else you got going on. Because, like I said, you have so much going on. So please tell everyone how they can do this.
You can follow me on Twitter at Leslie Mac, MAC. It's the best way to kind of stay in touch with me and know what I'm doing. You can find Safety Pin Box, safetypinbox.com, and you can follow us on Twitter as well at Safety Pin Box. If you're in the Boston area, I'll give a specific shout out. I'm going to be in Boston April 11th through 14th doing 3 days of workshops called Organizing on Safety Pins and Needles with Didi Delgado from BLM Cambridge. This is our second round. We actually sold out 2 full days in February, and so we've been invited back to do another round of training. And it's a hands-on training. You're going to leave us some tangible things for you to do. And I teach a little bit about the Safety Pin Box method, which I mentioned earlier. So if you check out, just look for hashtag OSPAN, Organizing on Safety Pins and Needles. And you can find my podcast, Interracial John. You can go to interracialjohn.com, JAWN, or search Interracial John. We're on Twitter as well.
And tell Drew next time I'll have him on. I will. I know. Last 2 times I kind of told Drew, I'm sorry. I want your better half. So, but no, this time I swear. Next time we'll bring Drew on, and what we'll try to do is, you know what I might even do? I got to get you two both back on. 'Cause I think you guys joined us for what was it? Could you join it for one? Was it Goonies?
We did Goonies.
Yeah.
Drew's been on a few of the.
Yeah, Drew's been on a few. So I might. Yeah, I gotta help Drew out. So
yeah, help him out a little bit. I think we did a Hell No Cupid too, which was really fun.
We did
much about our dating life, but we are in couples therapy, which we talk about on our show all the time. So we'd be happy to come back and talk about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's a whole other ball.
Awesome. That'd be great to have you guys on. And again, guys, Insanity Check on iTunes, Stitcher Radio. You can find us there. You can email me at mtrailerreviews@movietrailerreviews.net. Don't forget to check out the MTR Premium accounts, Premium Network. Again, we got plenty of shows coming out here for you guys, hitting all this stuff out. Super Tuesday recap. We just did a character corner on Iron Fist. So if you don't want to actually watch the Iron Fist show, you can actually listen to us talk about the Iron Fist comic book. We will have a Super Tuesday to review the show. I think D-Palm likes it more than I do, so that's going to be an interesting Super Tuesday when we're at odds with each other. So that'll be fun. Wednesday, we'll be having a Super Tuesday recap with everybody talk about The Flash and Supergirl crossover. That's a musical episode that I am so entirely thrilled to be on. So, it'll be fun. So, you'll enjoy it. So, again, everybody, thank you guys very much for listening. And until next time, we're out of here. Peace.